Chapter 21-24. After pondering for a while, Jun Xuanji felt that Night Sorrow might be dissatisfied with her in other aspects. She felt that the most likely reason was her way of doing things. Her way of doing things during that period was obviously in conflict with Night Sorrow's philosophy. Even if Night Sorrow did not say anything, it did not mean that there was no barrier in his heart. Knowing that something was wrong, Jun Xuanji wanted to change her ways. After handing over some matters to the Humanitarian League, Jun Xuanji returned to the ethereal Imperial City and went to Night Moon Villa. After walking around the profound heaven world and visiting Big Dipper King and the others, Night Sorrow found that Jun Xuanji was there and immediately went into seclusion. After 10 years, Night Sorrow had analyzed and verified some things. He mainly analyzed whether the relationship between him and Jun Xuanji was more important than the relationship between them. If the relationship was more important, then Jun Xuanji would not appear once in 10 years. If the relationship was more important, then he could let go of the matter. The solution was very simple. He just had to reduce the problem to a small one and deal with it coldly. After a long time, the matter would fade away. Night Sorrow's seclusion made Jun Xuanji's intention to talk to him fall through. After returning to the divine capital, Jun Xuanji told Zhu Juyun about the situation this time. She wanted to ask Zhu Juyun what she thought of this matter. Xuanji, we are friends. However, there are some things that I have to say. You went overboard. Night Sorrow wanted to talk to you last time because he wanted to resolve the matter. However, your attitude was very casual and you did not care at all. To put it bluntly, Night Sorrow was just using you. Zhu Juyun said. She was a bystander. I did not use him. I really did not use him. Jun Xuanji shook her head. Then what was your attitude when Night Sorrow came to you to resolve the matter? You did not care at all. You did not care about other people's feelings. Zhu Juyun said. Jun Xuanji lowered her head and did not say anything. She did not have that kind of thoughts during that conversation. However, she expressed that kind of attitude. To put it bluntly, you acted very cold. However, what kind of person is Night Sorrow? What kind of status is he? He doesn't only care about his own reputation. He wants to fight for the reputation of his wives and set a good example for his children. You don't care about his reputation, but he cares about his own reputation, Zhu Juyun said. My thoughts were wrong. Now that things have become difficult, we can't even be friends in the future, Jun Xuanji sighed. 718 Hap Zhu Juyun did not continue speaking. She felt that Jun Xuanji was wrong. His way of doing things was too self-centered. In the 100 Races Alliance of the Celestial Realm, no one dared to act aloof in front of Night Sorrow. To put it bluntly, you might not take his face as your face, but he took his own face as his face. Think of a way to solve it. Don't let Night Sorrow think that you are using him. Zhu Juyun reminded Jun Xuanji. Zhu Juyun left after she finished speaking. She could only give advice on some matters. As for how to deal with it, only the person involved would know. After Zhu Juyun left, Jun Xuanji fell into deep thought. After thinking for a while, she felt that Zhu Juyun was right. Her way of doing things was wrong. Later on, whether it was intentional or not, she showed that she didn't care. Jun Xuanji couldn't see Night Sorrow's clone, so she went to find Night Sorrow's main body. 10 years of indifference had caused the temperature to drop. If it continued to be this cold, then the relationship between the two would be sealed in ice. With Jun Xuanji's arrival, Night Sorrow could only stop cultivating. Night Sorrow floated down from the Haotian Pagoda and nodded to Jun Xuanji. Is there anything wrong with the Humanitarian League? No, there are some things that I can handle, Jun Xuanji said. If there are any troublesome problems, find Pu Luo and Misty to help you, Night Sorrow said. I'm here for the matter between us, Jun Xuanji said after hesitating for a while. It's all in the past. It doesn't matter if you don't care. I really don't know what happened. Even if I know what happened, I will forget it very quickly, Night Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji's face changed. Things were really like what Zhu Juyun said. Night Sorrow had already begun to resist this matter. I seem to have expressed myself wrongly last time. That's not what I was thinking, Jun Xuanji shook her head. She suddenly felt that she was wrong, very wrong. Xuanji, we are friends. Even if there were some problems, after some time, Things will be the same as before. You don't have to feel that you owe me anything, and I naturally won't feel that I owe you anything. Let's forget about that matter, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Forget about that matter. Jun Xuanji's mind seemed to have been struck by lightning. She understood that things were developing in the worst direction. Night Sorrow, it's really not like that. I expressed myself wrongly. I feel that we are too familiar with each other. Some words can be expressed in a joking manner. There's no other meaning behind it, Jun Xuanji explained. Jun Xuanji explained. She knew that Yi Shang was thinking in accordance with Zhu Juyun's deduction. This was normal. It's nothing. If I, Night Sorrow, am the best commander, then you are the best strategist. This is the best proof of our relationship. Night Sorrow threw a jar of wine to Jun Xuanji. I thought that a simple explanation would be enough. It seems that it won't work. Then I'll just say it. You might think that I, Jun Xuanji, took advantage of our friendship and used underhanded means to trick you. My way of doing things is also unscrupulous. Then, I rejected you without knowing what's good for me. You also made some judgments based on the attitude of that time, and then used 10 years to affirm the conclusion. Jun Xuanji said a bunch of words. She knew that if she didn't explain it clearly today, she wouldn't have another chance in the future. Night Sorrow said that he would forget about that matter, which was enough to prove his attitude. After hearing Jun Xuanji's words, Night Sorrow didn't reply because what Jun Xuanji said was the truth. 10 years wasn't a long time, but it was enough to prove one thing. If it wasn't for Night Sorrow, he wouldn't have taken the initiative to meet Jun Xuanji. It was Jun Xuanji who rejected him and left without saying goodbye. It seems like that's really the case. Listen to me. I really care about you. I'm not using you. I'm really not using you. I rejected you because I didn't want things to become too embarrassing and I didn't want the world to know about it. I really didn't want to marry you and I didn't want others to know because I was afraid that you would be embarrassed and lose face. Remember that one time when I asked you if you liked me? Actually, I already had an idea. I didn't want to be your wife and I didn't need you to take responsibility for me. I just wanted to be your confidant. Jun Xuanji explained while looking at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow turned his head and looked at the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. His originally calm heart fluctuated a little. He could see that Jun Xuanji was telling the truth. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow looked at Jun Xuanji and said, I feel that some things are lacking in openness. Of course, I'm not talking about the matter of you getting the medicine. I'm talking about us. I didn't do anything sneaky, and the current situation is quite good. Chapter 21-25. Okay, you can go back. But I hope that you are still the 9-domain world you were before. Night Sorrow said as he returned to the top of the clear sky pagoda, and continued to cultivate in the time acceleration. Jun Xuanji turned and walked toward the heavenly desolate city. She knew that today's conversation was effective. At the very least, she had clarified some issues. Also, Jun Xuanji knew that Night Sorrow had some opinions about her style of doing things. After returning to the divine capital, Jun Xuanji didn't talk to anyone, and went straight to the cultivation room. There were some things that she needed to think about and deal with properly. Otherwise, it would be troublesome. After Jun Xuanji left, Night Sorrow fell into deep thought. He knew that Jun Xuanji was telling the truth. There was no need to lie about some things. Jun Xuanji was telling the truth, so he had to think about the problem from another perspective. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that it was more appropriate to deal with it coldly. Because of what happened last time, Jun Xuanji didn't want him to fix it. Jun Xuanji was open-minded. As for having a close female friend, Night Sorrow didn't think about it. In the cultivation room of the Humanitarian League headquarters, Jun Xuanji also understood that since Night Sorrow had an opinion about it, he had to fix it. Jun Xuanji's avatar once again arrived at the Yue villa. This time Yi Shang, who was instructing Yi Xiaoke in his cultivation, did not choose to go into seclusion. Since the matter had already been discussed, since Jun Xuanji had arrived he would face it calmly. Everyone was chatting about the affairs of the Human Dao Alliance. The Humanitarian League didn't expand anymore because the 100 Races Alliance in the Celestial Realm didn't have any parasites. Without parasites, there was no target to attack and no territory to snatch. The few forces were operating their own forces peacefully. Alliance Master, Yuju Ruisi and the Great Demon King asked if our humanitarian league could expand to the 9-domain world in the future. Jun Xuanji started a topic. The 9-domain world was the future supreme world. It was no secret that the celestial realms level was going to decline, so the humanitarian league also knew about it. As long as we listen to the arrangements, there's nothing we can't do. If we don't listen to the arrangements, no matter who it is, no matter whose faction it is, they will be expelled, Night Sorrow said. Then I will discuss this matter with everyone, Jun Xuanji nodded. Latest carat M new, fastest dollar on, things aren't that urgent. There's still an era left. If the Humanitarian League makes this arrangement now, others will have bad opinions. They will think that the Humanitarian League is planning to retreat without fighting much. Tell everyone that we'll make arrangements later. We'll come up with a unified plan. Night Sorrow didn't want to make arrangements now. Lin Piaomiao nodded. Indeed, we can't arrange it now. This era is a time of war. In Night Sorrow's words, it's the era of the demon slayers. If we move the Humanitarian League now, it will make people uneasy. Jun Xuanji left. Night Sorrow wanted her to talk to the other members of the Humanitarian League. Night Sorrow, the 9 regions world is our home. After the 100 races of the celestial realm go there, we can't act recklessly. Otherwise the world will be in chaos, Yang Lei said. Perhaps you don't feel it, but I know very well that the 9 regions world is expanding at an extremely fast speed. The spatial barrier is constantly absorbing energy from the void and expanding in all directions. You all know how big the celestial realm is. In the future, the 9 regions world will be like this. If we only rely on the living beings of the 9 regions world to rule, there will be a large number of barren worlds. This isn't suitable. The 100 races of the celestial realm must go to the 9 regions world to develop. I'll get the elders to set a rule. Of course, there will be people to enforce it, Night Sorrow said. He already had a plan in mind. Seeing that Night Sorrow had a plan, Lin Piaomiao and the others didn't say anything. Xuanji, you haven't been here for a while. You seem to be a little restrained now. You're not as relaxed as you used to be, Sikong Chiyu muttered. Night Sorrow didn't reply. Some things were better left to himself. He felt that cultivating was the most important thing. Strength was the most important thing. Night Sorrow cultivated diligently. Night Moon's people in the villa were also affected and worked hard. On this Night Sorrow was cultivating the limitless spear art. Suddenly he sensed something. His body flashed a few times and he was outside the mansion. Outside the mansion, King Yawu stood there with a smile. Uncle, you've successfully come out of seclusion. Night Sorrow bowed to King Yawu. It went very well. You're in a good situation too. It won't take long for you to enter the tribulation of 3 kings. Hurry up and cultivate to the tribulation of 4 kings. At that time, your life will transform and your soul will level up. You won't be destroyed so easily, King Yawu said. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow invited King Yawu to the Twilight Tea House. At this time, the Twilight Tea House wasn't open yet. However, it didn't matter whether it was open or not. The waiter brought Night Sorrow into the snow pavilion. Uncle, I have something to tell you. I hope you can understand and support me. Night Sorrow said after pouring a cup of tea for King Yawu. You can't make a wrong decision. You don't have to be so serious. King Yawu shook his head. Then Night Sorrow told him about Mo Tianji's situation, what happened at that time, and future arrangements. King Yawu nodded. Your master's grudge is a racial grudge. It can't be blamed on anyone. In other words, Mo Tianji's bad luck started with your master. Since she used the fate slash, she has indeed given up on her past. Besides, with the heavenly oath, she won't be able to overturn the heavens. It's good for the 9 domains world to have one more battle power. It's good that you support me, Night Sorrow said. She has gone through some twists and turns and avoided the heavenly tribulation's detection. However, her lifespan is at most 1 era longer than Uncle, the City Lord and the Grand Elder. Of course, it depends on who can take the last step, King Yawu said. Uncle, the City Lord and the Grand Elder have a high chance. Mo Tianji has gone through more tribulations in recent years. I don't think there's much hope. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. That's where you're wrong. There are some things you don't understand. Why did your master only trap Mo Tianji's soul for one era? Why was Mo Tianji able to persevere after so many setbacks? It's because they are the souls of the tribulation of 7 emperors. The tribulation of 7 emperors is a high-level tribulation of 7 emperors. The soul is as solid as a real body. Normal attacks can't destroy it. You and your master were able to trap Mo Tianji because of the human emperor's seal. The fire of karma can counter it. Now that she has cut off her past karma and merged with her original body, she won't lose her strength when she comes out. King Yawu explained to Night Sorrow. I see. Then she still has a chance to pass the tribulation of 8 emperors, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 21-26. During the conversation, King Yawu told Night Sorrow that before Mo Tianji was trapped by Yan Wushuang, she was the leader of the 3 grand heavens of the Demon Wing clan. She was the real leader, and the most important leader of the Demon Wing clan, after the Demon Alpha in the last reincarnation. The Demon Wing clan's sacrificial tower evaluated her as a cultivator with immortal potential. Then I underestimated her. Night Sorrow did not know about this. But that's all in the past. She made an oath to the heavenly Tao in the heaven realm and the 9-domain world, so she has to abide by it. Otherwise, the heavenly Tao in the world's origin will instantly turn her into ashes. King Yawu was not worried about this. If Martial Uncle says so, then I'm relieved. Yishang nodded. Don't worry too much. I understand you. I will talk to the city lord and the grand elder about this later. There is no need to talk to the others. Save her dignity. Like you said, we should not judge a hero by success or failure. Even if we are not enemies, Mo Tianji is also a cultivator. It is not appropriate to trample on her dignity, King Yawu said to Night Sorrow. Uncle Master, you've come out of seclusion. That's the tribulation of the 9 emperors, a fusion of spirit and soul. The Lord of Tianhuang City is the same. Can't we take the initiative to attack? We can attack, but it is meaningless. We do not have the ability to break the Demon Imperial City. The members of the Demon Wing clan are in the city, so there is nothing we can do. You should know that in the history of the Celestial Realm, there have been many amazing cultivators. Uncle and the City Lord are close to them at best, but not better. Even our ancestors could not break the defense of the Demon Imperial City, so we cannot. But we can consider your suggestion. If we have a suitable plan, we can attack and trap them in the Demon Imperial City, King Yawu said. Night Sorrow nodded. He felt depressed and wanted to fight. Following this, Night Sorrow and King Yawu chatted about some relaxing topics. The slaughter epic had just begun. There was still another epic and 100 billion years to go, so there was no need to rush. After leaving the Twilight Tea House, King Yawu did not return to the Night Moon Villa. He had only come to see Night Sorrow. Before leaving, King Yawu left a message for Night Sorrow. The Magic Imperial City was the spirit sea of a half-step deity destroying tribulation expert. To break it, one had to have the strength to go through the deity destroying tribulation. At the very least, one had to have the attack power of a deity destroying tribulation expert. Only then could one break it. Another way was to have a certain amount of fire of merit. King Yawu meant that it was only possible for one's power of virtue to reach the emperor rank. Yi Shang's power of virtue was still far from the emperor rank. 700 years ago, Yi Shang's virtue cultivation had just entered the emperor rank. Over the past 700 years his power of virtue had increased rapidly, but he was still some distance away from reaching the middle rank. You forever n free_8, to read Q8 novels T. The increase in merit power of a merit body was the same as cultivation. The higher the rank, the more energy was needed. If Night Sorrow wanted to increase his merit power, he still needed a large amount of merit power. It was a long road ahead. After sending off King Yawu, Night Sorrow returned to the Night Moon Villa. He asked his wives about how to increase his merit power quickly. However, no one knew. After all, no one had come into contact with this domain. Night Sorrow, the human Tao merit sacred items are the human emperor's seal and the human sacred scripture, the Book of Taoism. The human emperor's seal represents authority. The human sacred scripture, the Book of Taoism, represents human Tao civilization. If you can pass down the spirit of the human sacred scripture, it will be a great merit to the human race and the celestial realm, said Lin Piaomiao. Preaching is a bright path. Not only will it benefit you personally, but it will also benefit the human race and the 100 Race Alliance. You must know that the divine beast race and the other races have their own independent cultivation civilization. However, their etiquette, morals, and spiritual civilization all come from the human race. Datura was also very supportive of Lin Piaomiao's suggestion. Knight Sorrow also felt that this was a path. However, preaching involved too much. Not just anyone could preach freely. Celestial realm forbade preaching. Some cultivators were forbidden from spreading some special ideas. The main reason was that they were afraid that some fallacies would corrupt the celestial realm's culture. If one wanted to preach, they had to be recognized. Preaching is the same as spreading human civilization. This is a very important matter. Knight Sorrow, you have to communicate with Uncle Master and the city lord of Tianhuang, said Sikong Chiyu. This is a big matter. I have to think about it carefully. I'm preaching human civilization. With the sacred scripture of human civilization, the Tao Te Ching, no one should be able to define it. Of course, we have to think about it carefully. Knight Sorrow lowered his head and pondered. He did not make a decision rashly. After thinking for 2 days, Knight Sorrow felt that this matter should wait a little longer. If his cultivation increased by one more level, he would have more prestige in front of the cultivators of the 100 Race Alliance in Celestial Realm. At that time, things would be smoother. After putting aside the matter of preaching, Knight Sorrow focused on cultivation every day. He was anxious to increase his Wuji attribute. He was now a mid-level 8-star emperor. If he became a 9-star emperor, he would be at the Imperial Tribulation level. If his Wuji attribute entered the Imperial Tribulation level, then Knight Sorrow's forbidden attribute would be at the peak. He could slowly make his way to the peak. The cultivation and realm of an Imperial cultivator were piled up over time. Knight Sorrow was now in the Imperial Tribulation level. Every step forward was not easy. However, Knight Sorrow could endure it. Time slipped away in this state. The cultivators of Tianhuang City admired Knight Sorrow very much. Apart from his unparalleled achievements, Knight Sorrow's original body had not returned from cultivating on the Nirvana Ocean Bridge once. It had been 30 years. In other words, after King Yawu saw Knight Sorrow had cultivated an accelerated speed for another 20 years. At the top of the Clear Sky Pagoda, there was a time acceleration of 30 times. In this 20 years, Knight Sorrow had cultivated for more than 600 years. In order to better interact with heaven and earth, Knight Sorrow didn't defend. The Nirvana tide constantly attacked. Knight Sorrow's body wasn't destroyed, but his robes were a little tattered after the energy baptism. Knight Sorrow's void attribute had already reached the peak of the Second Emperor Tribulation. His destruction attribute had also reached the peak. His time and space attribute was a little lacking. Knight Sorrow planned to wait until his time and space attribute was cultivated before undergoing the tribulation together. As for his Wuji attribute, after 600 years of deducing and grinding, it had improved by 30%. It was at the late stage of the middle-class emperor rank. It was still far from reaching the high-class emperor rank. On this day, Knight Sorrow's clone planned to see King Yawu and ask about the Tao preaching. However, something special happened at this moment. Mo Tianji appeared in the Sky Ceiling Palace. After 30 years of time acceleration in her spatial treasure, Mo Tianji had completely recovered and officially came out of seclusion. Once Mo Tianji came out, Knight Sorrow's 9 regions clone appeared. Chapter 21-27. Thank you. Mo Tianji bowed slightly to Knight Sorrow. Looking at Mo Tianji, Knight Sorrow was stunned. Mo Tianji's 3,000 feet long white hair was gone, replaced by black hair that reached her waist. The karma of the past is gone, so the 3,000 strands of worry is gone. Looking at Knight Sorrow's surprised expression, Mo Tianji shook her head. Doesn't that affect your strength? Knight Sorrow asked. Mo Tianji shook her head. The 3,000 feet long silver hair is an absolute art that I often used before the mid-level emperor tribulation. I'm really good at the mid-level Emperor tribulation, so I can only use sword skills. When you saw me, I wasn't strong enough to use that sword skill. When I first saw you, your soul was one with your main body, but you didn't use sword skills. Night Sorrow asked what he didn't understand. CP at that time, my body was trapped by the Emperor's power of virtue, so I couldn't use sword skills. Then, my soul left my body, so I couldn't use sword skills. Later on, I often used the 3,000 feet long kill, Mo Tianji explained. At this time, Night Sorrow understood that Mo Tianji didn't use her strength when fighting with him. Night Sorrow took Mo Tianji out of the ceiling sky palace and went to the tea house opened by Chen Chen. They asked for a private room. I'll call you Realm Lord. I'm about to go through the tribulation, but I don't know if I can succeed. This is my soul crystal. If it's bright, it means I'm alive. If it's dark, it means I've failed the tribulation. Then you've wasted your efforts on me and I can't do anything for you. Mo Tianji said. In the future, you can think of things from a different perspective. I'll do what I promised you and respect you. When there's no war, we can be friends. After you swear the Heavenly Tao Oath, I'll treat you as the protector of the 9 domains world. You're about to undergo your tribulation. Is there anything I can do for you? Night Sorrow asked. After Mo Tianji took a sip of tea, she sized up Night Sorrow seriously. I admit that I underestimated the Sector Lord's magnanimity. The human emperor's courage and morals are indeed not ordinary. I cultivated in the spatial treasure for 30 years. Under the 40 times acceleration, it was equivalent to a few hundred years. After his soul and body had fused perfectly, his strength had also recovered to its peak. He was confident that he could overcome the tribulation of the 8 emperors. However, I reckon that after overcoming the 8 emperors' tribulation, the 9 emperors' tribulation will follow, because my lifespan has reached the 9th era. Speak. What do you need? What can I do for you? Night Sorrow asked again. Then I'll tell you the truth. After coming from Reincarnation Island to the Celestial Realm, I've experienced a few setbacks and had to cultivate from the beginning. I didn't have enough resources. This time, fusing with my original body used up a lot of resources, so I don't have enough, Mo Tianji said. Here's 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones. Take it first. What else do you need? Night Sorrow took out a storage ring and handed it to Mo Tianji. That Ash God Stone, have you used it all? Mo Tianji asked hesitantly. Not all. I still have some. Night Sorrow nodded. Can you give me 5 kilograms? 5 kilograms is enough for me to attempt the tribulation of the 9 emperors after passing the tribulation of the 8 emperors. Of course, it's fine if I don't use it. I'm just worried that I won't have enough time. Mo Tianji said. She knew that 5 kilograms of Ash God Stone was extremely valuable. You can only help me guard the 9 domains world if you're alive. I won't be stingy with you. Here's 10 kilograms of Ash God Stone. Take it. Live well. Since you have the chance to live, cherish it. Night Sorrow took out 10 kilograms of Ash God Stone and gave it to Mo Tianji. I will. Don't worry. I understood it 30 years ago. After 1,200 years in the time acceleration, I've thought it through even more. Mo Tianji nodded at Night Sorrow. I believe you. My doppelganger won't leave the 9 domains world. Actually, it can't leave. If you need anything, just let me know. As long as it's within the 9 domains world, I'll be there in a moment. Night Sorrow also gave a soul crystal to Mo Tianji. This isn't your original body? Mo Tianji was stunned. She couldn't tell that the Night Sorrow in front of her was a doppelganger. His soul was very stable, unlike the doppelganger. There's no harm in telling you. I have 2 doppelgangers. This doppelganger has fused with the origin of the 9 domains world. It's restricted from leaving the 9 domains world. However, because it's born from flesh and blood, it's similar to my original body. In fact, if my original body really dies, this doppelganger can be used as my original body. The one you saw before was my battle doppelganger and my original body. Night Sorrow explained to Mo Tianji. 2 doppelganger are already so strong. If you cultivate to soul fusion, your strength will far surpass others. Dual taboo attributes, 2 doppelganger, virtuous emperor, And the Nine Domains world is completely under your control. It'll be very difficult for the reincarnation demonic winged race to win, Mo Tianji said. How should I put it? According to the old saying of the human race, where there are people, there will be battles. Actually, it should be said that where there are lives, there will be battles. In the beginning of the celestial realm, the demonic winged race chose to fight against the 100 races of the celestial realm instead of coexisting. Thus, they decided to fight to the death. At our time, the demonic winged race will inherit the will of their ancestors and fight to the end. The 100 Races Alliance of the Celestial Realm will also follow the will of their ancestors and continue to fight. Therefore, some things are already destined and cannot be changed. Night Sorrow took a sip of tea and said, Yes, no one has a way out. No one can complain. Mo Tianji also knew that Night Sorrow was right. Currently, the Nine Domains world is stable. If you want to go to the Celestial Realm or other realms, you can go there. Night Sorrow didn't want to restrict Mo Tianji too much. Realm Lord, can you tell me why I failed to enter the Nine Domains world back then? Mo Tianji asked. Night Sorrow smiled and told her about the restrictions after the Emperor-grade teleportation array recognized its master. He also said that this was the reason for its safety. So that's the case. Cultivators above the Realm Lord level can't enter. Those below the Realm Lord level are simply courting death. I understand. Mo Tianji knew that Night Sorrow had a lot of backup plans. Go and undergo your tribulation. I will also go and see if the preaching matter is okay. If it is, then I will be very busy. Night Sorrow muttered. You want to preach? Spread the faith and collect the power of faith? Mo Tianji was stunned. Power of faith? What is the power of faith? I don't understand. Night Sorrow was stunned. He had never heard of this term before. It's similar to the power of virtue of your human race. The demonic winged race also collects the power of faith. The method is to create sacred statues and worship them. Then the power of faith will be generated. Mo Tianji said. Chapter 21-28. Using the power of virtue to break the Devil Imperial City is indeed a path. It is a rather extreme path with unknown results. The train of thought is correct, but it is very difficult. It is already good enough for one virtuous emperor to appear in each cycle of the celestial realm. In the past, the virtuous emperor attacked the Devil Imperial City and damaged the city, but he did not manage to break it. The Devil-winged race is not afraid of this. The chances of producing a virtuous emperor is too low. It is like successfully passing the God-destroying tribulation. It is a path that no one can take. Mo Tianji said. I have to try, but I only have one epoch of time. Yishang smiled and said. You are very hardworking, but you have the 9 domain worlds as your backing. You don't have to do this. Mo Tianji could not understand his actions. Perhaps. I feel that if life is exciting, 1 epoch or 100 billion years is enough. If one cannot achieve anything in 100 billion years, then there is no meaning in being mediocre. Don't feel bad because I want to fight the devil-winged race. This is fate. Night Sorrow said. I won't. I will not actively harm the devil-winged race, nor will I help them. What I just said is something everyone knows. Right. Can you think of a way for me to obtain the life source of the 9 domain worlds? This way, I will have some compatibility with the 9 domain worlds, and will not be rejected. Even if I fight with cultivators of the same level, I will have an advantage. Mo Tianji changed the topic. Hearing Mo Tianji's words, Night Sorrow closed his eyes and communicated with the 9 domain worlds with his soul. Night Sorrow said, This matter was nothing. A milky white energy shot out from the heaven-sealing palace and entered Mo Tianji's divine sea. Many thanks, I am going to undergo my tribulation. Mo Tianji took the life source of the 9 domain worlds and turned to leave. Yishang drank his tea. From Mo Tianji's actions, Yishang could tell that Mo Tianji's attitude was very proper. She wanted the world origin energy, just like the red-clothed blue shadow. She wanted to change the life origin energy. Mo Tianji took the 9 regions world origin energy and became a 9 regions world origin energy. Ignoring Mo Tianji's matter, Night Sorrow entered the heaven-sealing hall and continued to cultivate the limitless sword art. As for whether or not Mo Tianji would cause any trouble, Night Sorrow was not worried. First of all, Mo Tianji could not do anything to harm the 9 regions world. Hurting someone for no reason was also considered hurting. As for the cultivators from the 9 domain world looking for trouble, it wasn't a big deal. In the 9 domain world, no one could threaten Mo Tianji. Night Sorrow's avatar in the celestial realm came to Yawu Mountain and met with King Yawu. King Yawu was very happy to see Night Sorrow. King Yawu looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Kid, you have to remember that you are the young city lord of the holy capital. If you have nothing to do, come and visit. Disciple will remember martial uncle's teachings." Night Sorrow bowed and said, "That's good. You must have a reason for coming here. Tell me what it is." King Yawu gestured at Night Sorrow to sit down and talk. "Martial uncle, I want to preach. I want to teach the human sacred scripture, the Book of Taoism. Although it is to increase merit power, it is also to improve the human civilization of the celestial realm." Night Sorrow said, "Preach. Teach the human sacred scripture, the Book of Taoism. That is fine. You are the human emperor. You have the right to preach. You should teach the human civilization and the Book of Taoism." King Yawu was shocked. He did not object but supported it. "If there is no problem, then that is good. I have talked to Mo Tianji about this. She thinks it is right. The Demon Wing race elites also collect the power of faith." Night Sorrow got up and poured a cup of tea for King Yawu. "No, don't touch the power of faith. It is not good for you. The merit power and the power of faith are similar, but they come from different sources and are different in nature. Virtue energy was obtained from cultivating one's virtue and benefiting the common people. It was bestowed by the heavenly Tao. Faith energy came from the offerings, worship, and prayers of other living beings. These 2 types of energy came from completely different sources, and their karma was different as well. As long as the cultivator of the merit body does not betray the Tao in his heart, the merit power will always be there. However, the power of faith is different. For example, the elites of the Demon Wing race who collect the power of faith now have the power of faith. If the Demon Wing race disappears, then their power of faith will disappear. In addition, the collection of the power of faith has a cause and effect relationship. When the cause and effect relationship reaches a certain level, it will affect the soul. King Yawu explained the relationship between the merit power and the power of faith to Night Sorrow. "So that's how it is. This is also the reason why our heaven realm forbids the preaching of the Tao." Yi Shang understood something. "That's right. Forbidding preaching means forbidding the spread of evil doctrines in the celestial realm, and forbidding them from collecting the power of faith." King Yawu confirmed Night Sorrow's words. Then King Yawu told Night Sorrow that he would talk to the city lord and the Grand Elder. If it was convenient for them to preach in Tianhuang City, then it would be in Shindu City. If the elders had different opinions, then it would be in Shindu City. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. After settling things, Night Sorrow was about to leave. He planned to undergo the tribulation of the 3 kings. Your cultivation must have reached a bottleneck. When you undergo the tribulation in the future, come near Yawu Mountain. I can help you guard it. Yawu Mountain is also a forbidden area. No one dares to come here." King Yawu sized up Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow smiled. "Uncle, I am looking for a place to undergo the tribulation." King Yawu nodded and let Night Sorrow go to Yawu Mountain to undergo the tribulation. He also asked about Night Sorrow's preparations. "I am mentally prepared." Night Sorrow said, "You silly boy. I am asking you if you have prepared the resources for the tribulation. In the past 2 eras, no one has died because of the tribulation. In the past, people died in droves. How can you not prepare the resources for recovery? You should also prepare some for healing." King Yawu looked at Night Sorrow and shook his head speechlessly. Seeing Night Sorrow's stunned expression, King Yawu knew that Night Sorrow didn't prepare any resources. King Yawu took out a few bottles of pills from his storage ring and explained their uses. 1 bottle could instantly replenish soul power, 1 bottle could replenish energy, and 1 bottle could heal physical injuries. Emperor rank pills. After opening the bottle, Night Sorrow was stunned. He was an alchemist and naturally knew the value of the pills given to him by King Yewu. Take it. If you feel that it is risky, use it. Don't feel that it is a waste. Pills can be refined. Staying alive is the most important thing. I will think of a way to get more pills. We only have one era. The resources for the tribulation must be prepared properly. Alright, come here with your real body. King Yewu said. Night Sorrow nodded. His real body on the Nirvana Ocean Bridge rushed to the divine capital. He wanted to undergo the tribulation of the three kings. After that, he could consider passing on the Tao. Night Sorrow didn't tell his family. He didn't want them to worry. If he succeeded, he could give them a surprise. Chapter 21-29. TC Night Sorrow didn't dare to go to the top of Yawa Mountain. He was afraid that the Heavenly Way Thunder Trial would destroy the Celestial Realm's Fate Dragon. That would be a big problem. Of course, in the future, the sovereign world would be the 9-domain world, but the Heaven Realm still had a lifespan of thousands of reincarnations. During this period of time, the existence of the Heaven Realm's Fate Dragon was still very important. It could also support the development of the Heaven Realm's 100 clans, and could also bestow fate upon some outstanding cultivators. King Yewu and Night Sorrow's clones had both arrived. Night Sorrow gave some resources to his original body. Be careful and go through it steadily. You should know that every time the Emperor's trial increases, its power will increase a little. King Yewu reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded. Although he was confident, he also knew that every Emperor's trial wasn't simple. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many people suppressing their tribulations. Then Night Sorrow released his cultivation and triggered the heavenly tribulation. As Night Sorrow released his cultivation, tribulation clouds appeared in the originally clear sky. The clouds quickly formed and filled the entire sky, including the divine capital. King Yewu's eyes twitched. When he was going through the 3 heavenly tribulations, the tribulation clouds didn't cover such a large area. The area and volume of the tribulation clouds determined the difference in energy and power. Night Sorrow's clones didn't get close. His original body wanted to go first. If the original body couldn't handle it, then the original body and the clone would merge. Holding the Samsara halberd, Night Sorrow looked up at the tribulation clouds. He could feel the power of the tribulation clouds. Come on. It's just the 3 emperors' trial. If I'm afraid of you, then I won't be able to pass any more tribulations in the future, Night Sorrow murmured. King Yewu, whose soul power covered Night Sorrow's original body, nodded. He admired Night Sorrow's confidence and aggressiveness the most. Ordinary people would tremble with fear when going through the Emperor's trial. But Night Sorrow had the will to fight that would never admit defeat. King Yewu knew that this was the temperament for great things. Ordinary cultivators lacked this temperament. While King Yewu was thinking, the thunder started to attack Night Sorrow. A bolt of lightning as thick as a bucket came down on Night Sorrow's head. Forbidden Samsara Tao Domain. Night Sorrow unleashed his Tao Domain to melt away the lightning tribulation. Following that, another spatial crack slashed towards the lightning tribulation. Confidence did not equate to arrogance. Night Sorrow wanted to allocate his energy in the most reasonable way possible, using all his energy on the blade. The spatial wren slashed at the thunder tribulation and melted it a little. Then, the reincarnation domain melted the thunder tribulation again. When the thunder tribulation reached Night Sorrow's head, its power was reduced to half. Waving his spear, Night Sorrow used the Destruction True Dragon Kill. It was just a simple destructive energy battle skill, and he also used an absolute skill. Because it was not worth consuming soul power, the Thunder Calamity was not afraid of the negative effects on the soul. With a boom, the first lightning tribulation was dispersed by Night Sorrow's spear. After the first lightning tribulation dispersed, the tribulation cloud loosened and tightened. After rotating for a while, the second lightning tribulation came down. Again, Night Sorrow used the same old method. However, his Tao domain had changed into the Merit Taboo, Primal Tao domain. His spear technique had also changed into Primal Extreme Kill. Night Sorrow used the Primal Extreme Kill to give the destruction energy a break. After the second lightning tribulation dispersed, Night Sorrow waved his right arm. The energy within his body quickly circulated, minimizing the consumption of the two spear attacks. How is it? King Yewu turned to look at Night Sorrow's doppelganger and asked. It's very powerful, but the consumption of the two lightning tribulations is not great. Night Sorrow shook his head. The lightning tribulation whizzed down. Night Sorrow kept integrating the energy. The four types of energy alternated. The infinity attribute was weaker, so Night Sorrow used his physical strength to support it. After an hour, the seventh lightning tribulation was over. Night Sorrow's energy had been consumed by 40%. King Yewu let out a sigh of relief because Night Sorrow would not be in danger this time. In the Emperor Calamity, the odd number of lightning tribulations was the strongest. Now that Night Sorrow had passed the seventh lightning tribulation, he had consumed less than half of his energy. The eighth lightning tribulation would not be too powerful. Only the most threatening lightning tribulation was left. Night Sorrow still had more than half of his energy left. In addition, his doppelganger had not joined yet. He could definitely withstand it. In fact, the eighth lightning tribulation had consumed 10% of Night Sorrow's energy. The ninth lightning tribulation had consumed 20% of Night Sorrow's energy. After the lightning tribulation was over, Night Sorrow still had 30% of his energy left. King Yewu nodded in satisfaction. The lightning tribulation was determined by the person, but it was definitely proportional to the energy contained in the person's body. Night Sorrow still had 30% of his energy left after passing the lightning tribulation. This meant that it was a tactical arrangement, and the result of the reasonable use of energy. King Yewu was not even worried about Night Sorrow's next lightning tribulation because it was too easy. After removing the 30% of energy, Night Sorrow still had his doppelganger, so he still had a lot of energy left. The lightning tribulation clouds dispersed, and the energy of the heavenly path's reward fell into Night Sorrow's body. Night Sorrow sat down and activated his leakless real body to refine the lightning tribulation's energy. His doppelganger threw a jar of wine to King Yewu. Uncle, the lightning tribulation is over. I'm now a cultivator of the three emperors' tribulation. Good. Our divine capital has another expert. The 100 Races Alliance of the Celestial Realm has another expert. King Yewu was really happy. I won't let you down. Night Sorrow nodded at King Yewu. Night Sorrow's doppelganger and King Yewu returned to the peak of Yewu Mountain. Night Sorrow, I was counting on you to take over the position of the city lord of the divine capital, but now it's no longer possible. You and I have the same lifespan. You have to work hard together, King Yewu said after taking a sip of wine. I will. Night Sorrow nodded. My feelings are a bit complicated. Seeing you directly break through to the forbidden element and give up a few eras of lifespan makes my heart ache. From another point of view, I also hope that you can achieve something quickly. King Yewu shook his head. His gaze was deep. Uncle, you think too much. I'm very satisfied with everything I have now. I started as an ordinary person and cultivated to have a lifespan of 100 billion years. Plus, I might be able to fight for a future, Night Sorrow said. You will fight for a future because you have the potential and the temperament to achieve great things. King Yewu looked at Night Sorrow and said. 3 days later, Night Sorrow's original body and doppelganger left. The original body went to stabilize his realm and continue cultivating, while the doppelganger returned to the Night Moon Villa. King Yewu asked him to go back and wait for news. He went to discuss with the city lord and the Grand Elder about Night Sorrow's preaching. It was a big matter, so some discussions and arrangements had to be made. Chapter 2130. Yi Shang returned to the Yeyue Villa. He was in a very good mood because he had taken another step forward on his journey. After knowing that Night Sorrow had successfully advanced, the Night Moon Villa was filled with joy. A great expert. Wuyo, our Yi clan has produced a great expert. I never thought about it before. Yu Qing looked at her husband and said, yes, a great expert. Back then, Night Moon Dynasty was suppressed and attacked. My wish is for Night Moon Dynasty to rise again and find my son. I don't ask for my son to achieve anything, as long as he is alive and well. Therefore, in my heart, I don't care about his achievements, as long as our family is safe and sound. Yi Wuyo looked at his wife and said what was on his mind. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He bowed and poured a cup of wine for his father. He was also a father and could understand his father's state of mind. With nothing else to do, Night Sorrow waited for news. He wanted to hear about Mo Tianji's tribulation. He also wanted to hear about the result of King Yewu's discussion with the Heavenly Desolate City and the Grand Elder. These two matters were important. One was whether the cultivator of the 8th Emperor Tribulation could be born successfully. The other was whether the essence of the human Tao's sacred scripture, the Book of Taoism, could be spread. The results came quickly. On the second day after Night Sorrow returned to the Night Moon Villa, King Yewu and the Grand Elder came. Night Sorrow received King Yewu and the Grand Elder in the clean room. The city lord still has things to do, so he didn't come. However, he is very supportive of you spreading the human Tao civilization. I am the same. I'm here to inform you that there's no problem with this matter. Our Assembly of Elders has discussed this matter, and we feel that we can set up a few more places to preach the Tao. Tianhuang City and Shindu City are naturally not a problem. There's also Xingyue City. Xingyue City will be the gateway between the 9 regions world and the primal chaos realm in the future. If you spread human civilization in Xingyue City, it will be of great help to the 9 regions world in the future, said the Grand Elder. Night Sorrow naturally did not object. Besides, spreading the civilization of humanity was not complicated. He was spreading the civilization of humanity, not the orthodoxy of cultivation. All he had to do was to display the Tao Te Ching during the ceremony of humanity, for the people of the celestial realm to see. After the matter was decided, the time was set. The transmission of the Tao Te Ching would take place once every 100 years, and each time, it would take 9 days. The reason why the transmission of the Tao Te Ching would take place every 100 years was so that it wouldn't affect Night Sorrow's matter. The first preaching was scheduled to take place in the Heavenly Wasteland City a year later. After sending off the Grand Elder and King Yewu, Night Sorrow continued to cultivate the Wuji spear arts, and continued to work hard to raise the level of his Wuji attribute. 2 months later, Night Sorrow's 9 Realms doppelganger met Mo Tianji. Mo Tianji was in good condition. She had returned after refining the energy of the Heavenly Tribulation. Mo Tianji told Night Sorrow that she had passed the 8 Emperors' Tribulation. The 9 Emperors' Tribulation would probably come in a year. This meant that even with the acceleration of time, Mo Tianji only had a few decades to prepare. I came back to tell you that you have to cultivate in the acceleration of time to quickly stabilize your realm, and then increase your cultivation. The 9 Emperors' Tribulation is much more terrifying than the 8 Emperors' Tribulation, Mo Tianji said. Okay, I'll be here. Call me if you need any help. Time is tight, go ahead. Night Sorrow nodded at Mo Tianji. The Heavenly Tao only gave me a year. It's tight, so I'll go cultivate. Mo Tianji waved her hand, and a jade-like pavilion appeared near the heaven ceiling hall. Then she flashed into it. That was her spatial treasure. It had the ability to accelerate time and interfere with some karma. The reason divination was ineffective was because of this spatial treasure called Origin Pavilion. Seeing Mo Tianji enter the spatial treasure to speed up her cultivation, Night Sorrow returned to the Heaven Ceiling Hall and continued to study the Wuji spear arts. His cultivation was now progressing naturally. His main focus was on the cultivation of the Wuji attribute. His 2 doppelgangers cultivated the Wuji spear arts, while his original body used the Wuji spear arts to draw the Wuji energy into his body, and then analyze and comprehend it. The Demon Wing clan did not attack. The 100 Races Alliance in the Celestial Realm was still preparing for war. The various elders also entered the Heaven Wasteland Army to guide their cultivation. This was because in the future war, the Heaven Wasteland Army would definitely be the main force. 3 elders went to the Reincarnation Island. They were Lu Qi, Emperor Tang and Elderling Shu. There were many elders in the Humanitarian League, but they did not participate in this matter. The Humanitarian League had its own team. Under the arrangement of Jun Xuanji, the Humanitarian League formed a team of emperors called the Demon Slayer Team. Pu Luo, Lin Piaomiao, and the Great Demon King were all strengthening their own teams in the Humanitarian League. Night Sorrow would visit the Reincarnation Island when he had time. He would also walk around the divine capital. The Demon Slayer team was stationed in the Humanitarian League headquarters in the divine capital. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. In this year, many changes had occurred. Lin Piaomiao and the Great Demon King had entered the tribulation of 3 emperors. However, the 2 of them also said that they had used up all the resources they had accumulated over the years. Pu Luo had also advanced to the tribulation of 4 emperors. He was also the person with the highest cultivation in the Humanitarian League. Fun Tian had also entered the tribulation of emperors. He had made great progress with the help of the limitless sword art. There was one more matter that Night Sorrow had not dealt with. However, as the Tao Teaching Day approached, he had to face it. The God-slaying team had shrunk some members. Night Sorrow had given them 50 years to enter the Emperor Realm. Those who had not entered the Emperor Realm had left the team. Night Sorrow had grounded himself in the Reincarnation Island for 30 years, and cultivated on the Nirvana Ocean Bridge for another 30 years. Now 60 years had passed. As early as 10 years ago, some members of the God-slaying team had returned to the 9 Regions world, because they did not complete Night Sorrow's request. It was too difficult to enter the Emperor Realm. It was not something that could be achieved with hard work and effort. It required talent and comprehension. This time, there were close to 20 people who returned to the 9 Regions world and Primal Chaos world. Only 30 people remained in the God-slaying team. Back then, the members of the Bloodshirt team from the Eastern Xian region made up the majority of those who left. There were also Qian Xiuwei and Bei Xing from the Sky Mystic world. There were also some members from the Medicine Valley who did not meet the requirements. There were many members from the Medicine Valley in the God-slaying team. Yang Lei, Aoi, Mo Chun, Guanyi, Qin Jin, Chu Ning, Tang Tian, Ma Zhuang, and Xiang Ding, who had joined the Medicine Valley, had only divided left and right. When he wanted to join the Taixian Peak, he had gone to the wrong place. Among these people, the first to enter the Emperor Realm were Qin Jun and Mo Chun. Unexpectedly, Xiang Ding followed closely behind. Chu Ning and Ma Zhuang entered the Emperor Realm before the deadline. Tang Tian had also succeeded. The rest left the God-slaying team and went to the 9 Regions city. However, they were still in seclusion because they could still return to the God-slaying team after breaking through. This included Yang Lei, Aoi, and Sikong Chiyu. They had families and children these years, so they did not have much time to cultivate. It was time to impart the sacred text of Taoism. Night Sorrow's 9 Regions avatar gathered the members of the God-slaying team, who had left to the heaven-sealing Great Hall. Chapter 2131. Everyone bowed. They knew that this was a chance that Night Sorrow was giving them. Don't feel too pressured. We're all brothers for life. You might enter the Emperor Realm later, but it's not a problem. Also, you can bring your family members over. Chuyu, make the arrangements and have Sister Xian, or take care of them. Night Sorrow said to Sikong Chiyu. Sikong Chiyu nodded. Some of the members of the God-slaying team in the 9 Domains world already had their own families. Many years ago, they were all alone, but after many years had passed, they all had their own families and businesses. They all had families that they cared about, just like Sikong Chiyu. After making the arrangements, Night Sorrow's 9-domain doppelganger went to a tea house not far from the heaven-sealing Great Hall to drink tea. He was quite worried about Mo Tianji. 1 year was almost up. If Mo Tianji didn't improve well in these few decades, she might die in the 9 Emperor Tribulation. While Night Sorrow was worrying, Mo Tianji came out. A high-level cultivator's sense of time was very accurate. Mo Tianji could also sense the time of the heavenly tribulation. How is it? Night Sorrow waved his hand and had Mo Tianji sit across from him. Mo Tianji poured herself a cup of tea and said, "It's not bad. I originally thought that time was short, and I might not make it in time. After all, my cultivation realm was only slightly above the 8 Emperor Tribulation, not the 9 Emperor Tribulation. My cultivation couldn't keep up with my realm. But in reality, after experiencing some things and enduring the impact of Jun Xuanji unsealing my soul, my mental state improved a lot. My realm also increased. It's about time now." "That's good. These are some pills that my martial uncle prepared for me. I'll give you some of them." Night Sorrow took out the pills that King Yenwu had given him. He felt that he still had time to prepare, but Mo Tianji didn't have time. Thank you. These are really supreme-grade pills. But there's no need. I've been bumpy all these years and used up a lot of cultivation resources. However, I still have some healing and recovery pills. I'll accept the Realm Lord's kindness. Mo Tianji opened the pill bottle and took a look before pushing it back to Night Sorrow. And to the power of P-Carrot, it's good that you have it. I'm going to preach tomorrow. It should be around the same time as your tribulation. I'll be waiting for your good news, Night Sorrow said. Preaching tomorrow? I still have time. Can I go and take a look? Mo Tianji asked. Sure. I'll send my battle clone to pick you up. Then, I'll have Misty accompany you. That way, there won't be any problems, Night Sorrow said after a moment's consideration. Mo Tianji nodded. In the past, she was a being from Heaven Wasteland. The civilization of the celestial realm was meaningless to her. However, it was different now. She had obtained the life origin power of the Nine Domains world, and was considered a being of the Nine Domains world. The civilization that Sector Lord Night Sorrow was spreading might be helpful to her. Night Sorrow's battle clone went to the Nine Domains world, and brought the black-haired Mo Tianji to the Night Moon Villa. He let Mo Tianji and Lin Misty meet. He didn't introduce Mo Tianji to anyone else because he was worried that Mo Tianji would feel awkward. Then Night Sorrow took out a piece of refining material. He waved his hands and made a token. There was the word night on it. He handed it to Mo Tianji. This has my soul aura. If anyone notices something wrong with you and comes to ask about it, show it to them. If there's any trouble, just crush my soul crystal. Don't worry. I won't cause any trouble. After listening to your Tao preaching, I'll return to the Nine Domains world to undergo my tribulation. Mo Tianji nodded. Although she wasn't from the celestial realm, she had been hiding in the celestial realm for a while. She knew about Night Sorrow's identity and status in the celestial realm. She knew that this token was the token that allowed her to go anywhere in the celestial realm. After everything was arranged, Night Sorrow brought his family to Heaven Wasteland City. At this time, there were cultivators everywhere in the Heavenly Wasteland City. They had been notified 100 years in advance. All the members of the Heavenly Realm who were qualified to enter the Heavenly Wasteland City had come to listen to the preaching. The celestial realm was currently ruled by the human race. The human Tao civilization was the civilization of the celestial realm. Therefore, they all wanted to see it. It would be beneficial for them. Around the Grand Martial Arts Arena in Heaven Wasteland City were seats for various forces. The Chaos Realm had their own seats. The Reincarnation Island also had their own seats. In the middle of the arena was a platform. After everything was ready, the Grand Elder came to the platform and signaled for everyone to be quiet. Then he said, a reincarnation cycle lasts for billions of years. There is only one human sovereign in each reincarnation cycle. In the past, there were many reincarnations where no human sovereign appeared. In addition, there were very few human sovereigns who could become deluxe merit monarchs. In this reincarnation cycle and epoch, there was a human sovereign who became deluxe merit monarchs. He has the human sovereign's seal and the human clan's deluxe merit canon, Tao Te Ching. From today onwards, the human sovereign will preach for 9 days. After speaking, the Grand Elder cupped his hands to Night Sorrow. This was his respect for the human sovereign. Night Sorrow nodded and walked to the platform. In terms of age, Night Sorrow is young and inexperienced. In terms of cultivation, there are many people who are stronger than Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow is lucky to have mastered the human clan's Tao Te Ching. He has some achievements in cultivation. This time, I will preach the way of the gentleman to everyone. Night Sorrow stood on the platform and talked about the way of the gentleman and the way of the gentleman. During the preaching, golden characters appeared on Night Sorrow's body. They were the records of the way of the gentleman and the way of the gentleman in the Tao Te Ching. After speaking, Night Sorrow sat on the platform and circulated the way of the Tao Te Ching around his body. The book of Tao Te Ching mainly showed the exposition of the way of the gentleman, as well as the common knowledge of civilization about cultivating one's body and morality, being blessed by the way of heaven, and being blessed by luck. The way of the Tao Te Ching rotated around Night Sorrow's body. The way of the Tao Te Ching was displayed in front of everyone. Observing the way of the Tao Te Ching would definitely cleanse one's body, mind, and soul. Night Sorrow was also comprehending the essence of the way of the Tao Te Ching. The martial arts arena was peaceful. Everyone was enveloped in the light of the human clan's Tao Te Ching activated by Night Sorrow. When the sun set on the 9th day, Night Sorrow stood up. This time, the way of the human clan's Tao Te Ching is coming to an end. I will say a few words to everyone. Actually, cultivating the way of the gentleman and the way of the Tao Te Ching is to live with a clear conscience and be upright. Every step of the way must be able to withstand the test and scrutiny. This is also beneficial to one's cultivation. One can reach a state where one's heart is flawless and transparent. In this state, the path forward is bright. This preaching is about cultivating the way of the gentleman. The next preaching will be about kindness. I hope everyone will come and listen. I believe that if every cultivator has the way of the gentleman, then the 100 races of the celestial realm will be different from the celestial realm, Night Sorrow said. Your Majesty, after listening to the way of the gentleman, I have a question in my heart. Cultivators respect the strong. Might is right. Is the way of the gentleman useful? An expert of the Azure Dragons asked. Chapter 2132. Sir Human Emperor, please enlighten us. Another human cultivator also stood up. It's actually not complicated. In the past, it was said that the strong were respected, but it was actually an interpretation of great merit and reason. It was a trend, but not a principle. In other words, if someone was truly invincible and dared to say that they had great merit and reason, but if they dared to kill indiscriminately, they would inevitably be abandoned by the heavenly way. Their own luck would be affected, and they might fall in the future because they had no luck. For example, there was once a master on the celestial and demon list, Guizhu. He was a master back then, so why did he fall? Because he had no virtue. He was abandoned by the cultivators, and was abandoned by the heavenly way. This was because he had no reason, so he fell at the hands of others. To put it bluntly, I'm standing here. There are cultivators of the 100 races in the celestial realm who can kill me, but if they kill me without reason, wouldn't they be surrounded by others? Respect yourself and reason, this is the right way, Night Sorrow said. Thank you, sir. This junior understands. Standing upright and acting upright is reason. The human cultivator bowed and retreated. I'm not asking everyone to abandon the idea of the strong being respected. Everyone should aspire to the path of the strong. This pursuit is not wrong. It's just that you should be more demanding of yourself, pay attention to virtue, and be a cultivator that others like and respect. We need to challenge injustice and evil. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he cupped his hands to the people around him. In response to Night Sorrow, everyone bowed. This was because Night Sorrow's philosophy was the philosophy of civilization. If the gentleman's wind could be valued by all cultivators, then the celestial realm would indeed change. After the preaching, Night Sorrow left. He was invited to the Grand Elder's small world. Grand Elder, do you think it's appropriate? Night Sorrow asked after sitting down. It's appropriate. Since ancient times, there has been a distinction between good and evil. What you said about cultivating one's body and virtue is righteous. If all cultivators can do this, then there will naturally be less evil. The Grand Elder nodded. He was very satisfied with today's results. Grand Elder, if you think it's appropriate, then it'll be done in 100 years. Night Sorrow said. In a few days, I'll be going through the tribulation. The tribulation of the 9 emperors has been suppressed for a while, but it can't be suppressed any longer. The 7th patriarch will be in charge of the heavenly wasteland city during this period of time. If anything happens, you need to step up. He was a cultivator at the end of the previous reincarnation cycle. Now that he had entered the 9th era of this reincarnation cycle, the tribulation of the 9 emperors was coming. When? Alright, this is the City Lord medallion that the City Lord wanted me to give you. If there's a problem, pour your soul power into it, and the City Lord will come back. The outer realms are hidden very deeply. The City Lord medallion can take his time to capture them. For now, he can't stay in Tianhuang City. the Great Elder said after handing Yishang a medallion. Night Sorrow didn't refuse. He had to shoulder some responsibilities. Emotianji. I saw some changes in her aura. She's no longer vicious. Good. The Grand Elder mentioned Emotianji. I didn't inform the Grand Elder in advance because I don't think she'll be a threat. Killing someone is just a matter of nodding her head to the ground. If she's willing to submit, I can't raise my butcher's knife and continue to chop her down, said Yishan. You handled it well. That's how a human emperor should behave, the Grand Elder said. After talking with the Grand Elder, Night Sorrow's clone gave the Tao Te Ching of human Tao to his original body. Then his clone stayed in the mansion of Heavenly Desolate City. As the young city lord of Heavenly Desolate City, he had to stay when the city lord and the Grand Elder weren't around. Most of the members of the First Army and the God-slaying team stayed in his mansion. Some of them cultivated on Reincarnation Island. Mo Tianji, Lin Piaomiao, and the members of the God-slaying team returned to the Nine Regions world. Mo Tianji left Nine Regions world to find a place to undergo her tribulation. Night Sorrow's Nine Regions clone gathered the members of the God-slaying team, who had returned to the Nine Regions world, and announced something. Because the members of the God-slaying team had made great contributions to the Nine Regions world, and were recognized by the Nine Regions world's origin, Night Sorrow took out 1,000,000 Saint Spirit Stones, and threw them into the Heaven Sealing Palace. Everyone could cultivate inside. The Heaven Sealing Palace in the Nine Regions world was more effective for cultivation than the Reincarnation Palace. In the past, the Reincarnation Palace only displayed the will of the world. Only after the emergence of Imperial Realm cultivators did the momentum of the world manifest to assist the cultivators. However, the Nine Regions world was different. There were many ninth-rank cultivators in the Nine Regions world. Moreover, the Nine Regions world's level had surpassed the Great World, and was developing toward a supreme world. The momentum of the world was manifesting at any time. Sikong Chuyu Yonglei, and Always Original Bodies also entered the Heaven Sealing Palace to cultivate. Night Sorrow didn't need his family members to achieve great things. However, they had high standards for themselves. They also had their own goals. They didn't want to be left behind by the God-slaying team. Night Sorrow didn't stop his wife from pursuing such goals. His wife, who hadn't reached the Imperial Realm, went to cultivate in the Heaven Sealing Palace. Night Sorrow called his children, who hadn't reached the 9th rank yet, to a mansion not far from the Heaven Sealing Palace. WH0 permanent, free, fee square root a look. Little sigh. Your mothers and concubines have their own goals. They've all gone to the Heaven Sealing Palace to cultivate. Although I don't have any requirements for you, I feel that it's not bad to give you some pointers. If you can all reach the Imperial Realm, I will have no regrets. Night Sorrow looked at all his children and said. Yi Qingyan and the others bowed to Night Sorrow. They could feel their father's love. They respected Night Sorrow not because he was the Realm Lord, but because of Night Sorrow's love for them. Lord Yu, go and find your senior brother and sister. Let them cultivate with you. It's been so many years. As their master, I haven't given them any guidance. Speaking of which, I'm leading them astray. Night Sorrow shook his head. Father, senior brother and sister won't think that way. They are incomparably respectful to their master. Yi Xiaolei hugged Night Sorrow's arm and said. Okay, I'll start guiding you in your cultivation tomorrow. Today, you kids will accompany me to drink. Otherwise, when you and your sister get married one day, I won't be able to find you even if I miss you. Night Sorrow said as he patted the back of his daughter's head. Father, Xiaolei doesn't want to get married. If anyone wants to marry me, let them join the Yi clan. Yi Xiaolei said with a smile. That won't do. Our Yi clan can't use our status to suppress feelings. If there's someone who really likes you, then so be it. However, I'll leave a mansion for you in the city in the sky. Yi clan will always be your home. Night Sorrow said. That's great. Xiaolei thanks Father. Yi Xiaolei said happily. What's there to thank Father for? I just hope that in the future, there will be more people by my side to serve me tea. Night Sorrow said with a smile. At this moment, a few people appeared in the Nine Regions world's teleportation array. It was Zhantan Yi and a young man. It's rare for your martial uncle to be so free. Let's go and pay your respects to your famous martial uncle. Then you can cultivate with him. I'll leave you with him so that your mother and I don't have to worry about you, Jean-Tan said to the young man beside her. Chapter 2133. Mother, why are you still laughing? I guess I won't have a good life after being thrown to senior uncle's place by father. The youth said. Won't have a good life? Why do you say that? Yi looked at her son in confusion. She and Jean-Tan's son was called Jean-Yi, and Yi was the equivalent of her name. Senior uncle is the domain lord of the Chaos Domain, and the elder of the 100 Races Alliance in the Celestial Realm. He's also the human emperor. He's definitely different from senior uncle Qing Lin. He's probably very fierce. If I'm the slightest bit dishonest, I'll probably be dealt with. Jean-Yi said softly. Then can't you be more honest? Jean-Tan glared at her son. You are really wrong this time. Your martial uncle Yi is the most amiable and approachable person. Mother didn't see your martial uncle Yi lose his temper. Back then in the Azure Imperial Dynasty, there were many people who let your martial uncle Yi down, but he forgave them all. Of course, if you want to be your martial uncle Yi's opponent, that would be a nightmare. Yi smiled. That's really not scary. Jean-Yi's mind was a little lively. You rascal, what are you thinking? Jean-Tan slapped the back of Jean-Yi's head, and then led his wife and son towards Night Sorrow's residence. Night Sorrow was already standing in front of the residence looking at them. Jean-Tan and Yi brought Jean-Yi over. Night Sorrow went up and hugged Jean-Tan. Senior brother, sister-in-law, it's rare for you guys to come here. I'm accompanying my children today, and was planning to get them to drink with me. Now that they're here, who is this? Night Sorrow looked at Jean-Yi. Why aren't you greeting senior uncle? What are you thinking about? Jean-Tan waved her hand again. Disciple Jean-Yi greets senior uncle human emperor. Jean-Yi was about to bow but was stopped by Night Sorrow. Senior uncle has to say something. There's a problem with your parents' upbringing. Senior uncle is senior uncle and has nothing to do with the human emperor. Let's go. Senior uncle's children are older than you. You should call them senior brother and sister. Senior uncle, my parents intend to leave me here, Jean-Yi said softly. As he spoke, he paid attention to Night Sorrow's expression. Sure. Let's not talk about drinking. You're still young, but you have to learn how to brew tea. Martial uncle loves to drink tea. Once the tea is brewed, martial uncle will scold you less. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Mother loves tea and taught me the way of tea, Jean-Yi said. Night Sorrow looked at Sandalwood and asked, That's enough. Senior brother, did you send your son here because I was bored in the 9 regions world? That's not it. I just feel that with you guiding Ear, it would be easier for Ear to become a talent. Sandalwood laughed and shook his head. Senior brother, can't you lie a little? That's right, if you lie, you wouldn't be senior brother anymore. Night Sorrow hooked his arm around Jean-Yi's shoulder as they entered the manor. Update J is the fastest it on Y. Just as they entered, Yi Yujun arrived with July and Ningyan. Night Sorrow introduced Jean-Yi to everyone and told the children not to bully Jean-Yi. He especially reminded Yi Xiaolei. After getting the servants to serve the dishes, Night Sorrow, Sandalwood and Yi sat at the main seats and started drinking and chatting. The 3 elders didn't put on airs and chatted casually while the juniors were also very excited. Today, you guys should be happy. Tomorrow it won't be like this. Ningyun, you should know that the members of Taishian Peak have a tradition of teaching their disciples. Tomorrow, this tradition will be carried out in this manner. Night Sorrow took a sip of wine and said, Senior brother, what is the tradition of Taishian Peak? Yi Xiaokei looked at Ningyan and asked. Rattan fried meat. When the martial uncles teach their disciples, they all have rattan in their hands. Ningyan glanced at Night Sorrow and said softly, Jade won't become anything if it's not cut. That's how it should be, Yi said. Martial Aunt is right. My grandmaster once mentioned unintentionally that among all the disciples of Taishian Peak, only my master hasn't been hit by the rattan. Everyone else has been hit by it. Even I, Aoi, have been hit by it once, Ningyan said. After drinking, Sandalwood and Yi didn't stay any longer and left. Sandalwood was going to the god-slaying team while E was going to return to the world of reincarnation. E was now also managing some matters in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. After a night of rest, Night Sorrow fixed a rattan and gathered everyone. From today onwards, all of you have to cultivate well. Since your cultivation is different, the requirements will be different. If you can't meet the requirements, do as you see fit. Night Sorrow then gave everyone different requirements. On this day, many people heard chattering coming from the Realm Lord's manor. During the day, Night Sorrow was very strict. At night, Night Sorrow would set up the food and wine. Then, he would tell everyone about their lack of compatibility during the day, and point out what they needed to pay attention to during meditation. Night Sorrow would give specific instructions. 2 months later, Mo Tianji came back in high spirits. Seeing Mo Tianji like this, Night Sorrow knew that she had succeeded in passing the tribulation, even though he couldn't see her cultivation level. After hearing Night Sorrow's congratulations, Mo Tianji smiled. If I had passed the tribulation somewhere else, I would have failed. It was a crucial moment. The life source of my 9-domain world absorbed some energy from the 9-domain world and helped me withstand the last lightning tribulation. I owe it to the 9-domain world. It's good that you passed the tribulation safely. Now, let's prepare for the god-slaying tribulation. We don't have much time. Night Sorrow said. Okay, I will cultivate in seclusion near the heaven-sealing hall. Call me if there's a battle. I will first cultivate a clone and then merge with my soul. However, it will take about 50 years in real life. Mo Tianji said. Night Sorrow smiled and let Mo Tianji cultivate. After the 9 Emperor tribulation, merging with one's soul was a path she had to take. Mo Tianji didn't have a clone at the moment. She had to cultivate a clone before merging with her soul. This way, her strength would be different after merging with one's soul. With nothing else to do, Night Sorrow led a quiet life. Every day, other than cultivating the limitless spear arts, he would use the rattan to guide his children, disciples and Johnny. After 10 years, the first person to comprehend 10% of the power of heaven and earth in the heaven-sealing hall appeared. It was Sikong Chiyu. Night Sorrow was worried about Sikong Chiyu's tribulation, so he brought Sikong Chiyu to the city in the sky. Sikong Chiyu had been by Night Sorrow's side all these years. His cultivation level was very stable, and his compatibility was strong. With the leakless body that Night Sorrow imparted to him, there was no danger during the tribulation. He used 3 days to pass the wind and fire tribulations, and entered the Emperor realm. Looking at the nervous Yishang, Sikong Chiyu gave him a hug and said, "Thank you. I know what kind of talent I have. I don't even have the qualifications to enter rank 9. I only had this opportunity because I used the pill you gave me to change my talent, perception and spirituality, as well as your merit and luck." Chapter 2134. That was so many years ago. You still remember? Sikong Chiyu laughed. I'm not holding a grudge. I just find it funny. Night Sorrow shook his head. Sikong Chiyu then asked Night Sorrow if he wanted to go to the Sikong family. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow decided not to go. If he went, the Sikong family might cause a ruckus. There was no point. Sikong Chiyu did not ask. She also knew that Night Sorrow was not suitable to go to any family or power now. The 9 regions world needed balance. Night Sorrow could not show any friendliness because he did not go to the Night Moon dynasty. Night Sorrow did not even go to the Night Moon dynasty. Soon after, Yang Lei also came out of seclusion and successfully entered the imperial state. Night Sorrow asked Yang Lei to go to the Medicine Valley to take a look and pay respects to her master. Then I'll go back and show them what the Taishan Peak has been like all these years. Then I'll show them what I've done. Yang Lei's personality was still as straightforward as when she was young. She had not changed much over the years. Not only her personality, even when she walked on the streets, she still looked like a woman in her mid-20s. This was mainly because she had achieved success at a young age. Go. Consider the feelings of your master and senior brothers. Don't embarrass them. Night Sorrow laughed. Night Sorrow returned and received congratulations from his disciples, children, and Johnny. Make good use of your time and work hard. There is no end to the path of cultivation. You can all become great emperors. Yi Shang encouraged everyone. His wives entered the imperial state one after the other. Only Aoi was left. She was also the one that Night Sorrow was least worried about. This was because Aoi had the best state of mind and the most solid cultivation. On this night, Sorrow's avatar in Tianhuang City received Lu Qi. Lu Qi's expression was solemn. An alien world that had never appeared before was connected to the celestial realm. A spatial passage had appeared, and alien cultivators had invaded. Although they had blocked them, the situation was not very optimistic. Our strongest opponent is the demonic winged clan. If we can withstand the demonic winged clan, then the invasion of an alien cultivator shouldn't be a problem, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, there are some things you don't know. This is the end of the world, because such a foreign world shouldn't have appeared. Lu Qi shook his head. Don't worry, I'll lead my men to battle. Night Sorrow made his decision. It's not suitable for you to fight. You are the human sovereign, the law-enforcing patriarch of the Council of Patriarchs, and the young city lord of Heavenly Desolate City. You are the most suitable person to guard Heavenly Desolate City. I will fight, Lu Qi said. There are some things I'm not familiar with. It's better for Patriarch 7 to stay. I'll fight. That's settled. Night Sorrow made his decision. Lu Qi did not refute. After leaving Night Sorrow's residence, he immediately called for a council of patriarchs. Only after the council of patriarchs had been convened, did someone come to inform Night Sorrow. When Night Sorrow arrived at the meeting room of Heavenly Desolate City, all the patriarchs of Heavenly Desolate City were present. Even a few grand elders of the mythical beast clan were present. Seeing Night Sorrow arrive, everyone present greeted him. Night Sorrow saw that there were no empty seats, but he could not stand. He felt a little awkward. There were empty seats for the city lord and the grand elder. Haha, interesting. Seeing Night Sorrow look for a seat, but have no seats, the Golden Dragon King laughed. Lu Qi called for someone to add a chair for Yi Shang. Yi Shang didn't want to sit, but Lu Qi pushed him down. Lu Qi gave a brief introduction. The matters of the apocalypse were recorded in the ancient records. Then Night Sorrow stood up and said that he was going to fight with the Samsara Island. Night Sorrow wanted to fight, but many patriarchs did not agree. The city lord and the grand elder were not present. If something happened to Night Sorrow, they would not have the face to answer to the city lord and the grand elder. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Seniors, let's fight. If we are afraid of this and that, how can we fight against fate? A righteous person, a righteous heart, and a courageous heart. Things have not been competed, but things have been done. There is nothing that is impossible. I, Night Sorrow, have also fought all the way. One more battle won't hurt. Night Sorrow had made his decision. Lu Qi, don't worry about this. Night Sorrow is now at the tribulation of 3 emperors. He can fight against the tribulation of 4 emperors, and it will be difficult for the tribulation of 5 emperors to kill him. There is nothing to worry about. Let's study the tactics, the Golden Dragon King said. Well, let's do as the Golden Dragon King said. I will follow when the time comes, Huangling said. Patriarch 7, I will go and gather the troops now. Also, I need information. Give me the information you can gather. Night Sorrow stated his request. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Patriarch Green Rock stood up and accepted the mission. The space passage was closer to the Green Rock race. The members of the Green Rock race were fast and suitable to accept the mission. Then Night Sorrow asked about the current situation of the space passage. He learned that the Green Dragon King was guarding it with the Green Dragons and 3 Heaven Wasteland troops. We can defend it now, but we don't have enough offensive power. If we mobilize the troops of Heaven Wasteland City, the Demon Winged race will take action. Then we will be attacked from both sides, Lu Qi explained. I understand. We can't leave Samsara Island undefended. How about this? I'll lead the 2 armies of the Heaven Wasteland Army and the 1st Army into battle, said Night Sorrow. Currently, the God-slaying team was also in the 1st Army. Aren't you going to take the Humanitarian League? Lu Qi asked. It depends. If the situation is serious, we will have to take some people, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. After discussing the details, Knight Sorrow left. After returning to the mansion, he issued a series of orders. On Samsara Island, Nanyong and Shicheng troops would go to battle. The remaining 2 troops would guard 2 strongholds. In addition, the First Army and the God-slaying team would gather in Heaven Wasteland City. Knight Sorrow knew that the situation was not good. The main opponent of the 100 races of the celestial realm was the demon-winged race. If they were involved in other matters, the demon-winged race's attack would be troublesome. No one knew whether there were spies of the demon-winged race in the celestial realm. Once the news was leaked, the 100 races of the celestial realm would be attacked from both sides. Therefore, some things had to be resolved quickly. After the elders' meeting, Lu Qi found Pu Luo, the great demon king, Lin Piaomiao, and the others. The Humanitarian League was in Chengdu City and did not participate in the meeting. Lu Qi told them about the crisis and Knight Sorrow's decision. He hoped that the Humanitarian League would follow. He was worried about Knight Sorrow's safety. "We will think about it and make arrangements." Pu Luo nodded. After Lu Qi left, Pu Luo and the others began to discuss. In the end, they decided that Lin Piaomiao, Pu Luo, and Yuzhu would follow. The Great Demon King would guard the Humanitarian League. Knight Sorrow's original body cultivated while his doppelganger stood at the gate of Nirvana City. With the war before his eyes, Knight Sorrow was not nervous. His cultivation had increased rapidly, but he felt that he lacked actual combat. He should use actual combat to stabilize his cultivation and realm. His cultivation and realm were unstable, which was not a good thing for him. In addition, he felt that this apocalypse would be a test for his subordinates. Chapter 2135. Hearing the voice of the world origin, Knight Sorrow returned to the Heaven Wasteland Tower. As soon as Knight Sorrow arrived in front of the Heaven Wasteland Tower, a wave of energy appeared, wrapped around his body, and disappeared. This made the Golden Dragon King, the Heavenly Astral King, Huang Ling, and Lu Qi, who had just walked out of the Heaven Wasteland Sex Meeting Hall, look at each other. They naturally found out where Knight Sorrow had gone and knew that Knight Sorrow had gone to the Heaven Wasteland space. The Heaven Wasteland space was the most mysterious area in the Heaven Wasteland City. It could give a title certification there. It was a place controlled by the celestial realm's origin. No one could enter without a title certification, not even the Heaven Wasteland City Lord. In the Heaven Wasteland space, Knight Sorrow saw the celestial realm's origin body. 2 chairs appeared, and the celestial realm's origin body invited Knight Sorrow to sit down. "You know about the Doomsday Tribulation. It's only recorded in the ancient books. This tribulation is directed at the celestial realm and me. I'll tell you some things," the celestial realm's origin body said to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow nodded, and made a gesture of invitation. He knew that the celestial realm's origin body was telling the truth. Lu Qi and the others inferred from the ancient books that this was the Doomsday Tribulation. They were not clear about the rest. The Doomsday Tribulation corresponds to the impact and destruction of the world. You cultivators can withstand it, but the world origin can't. Therefore, I'm going to reincarnate. If I come back in an era, then I'll be back. If I don't, then everything has nothing to do with me. Everything depends on you. The celestial realm's origin body said. Then what can I do? Knight Sorrow knew that the situation was serious. Fight. You must fight to the end and destroy the world where the Doomsday Tribulation is, and bring the origin back, the celestial realm's origin body said, and then explained what the origin was. The origin was the core of a world's origin. Destiny stones, origin pearls, and world origin bodies were all manifestations of the origin. The impact of the world of tribulations on the world of tribulations was to plunder and erode the origin. Therefore, the origin body of the celestial realm had to undergo reincarnation before it was plundered and eroded. Good. I'll do my best. Knight Sorrow nodded. If he didn't know, he wouldn't say it. Now that he knew, Knight Sorrow would do his best. Just do your best. Also, before I reincarnate, I have something to give you. The absolute control of the Wasteland Tower will be yours from today onwards, as well as this sword. Also, many people don't know much about the Wasteland Tower. I'll tell you more about it and the God-destroying tribulation. A long sword appeared in the hands of the celestial realm's origin body, and then he handed it to Night Sorrow. With the explanation of the celestial realm's origin body, Night Sorrow understood that the Wasteland Tower used to be a building. Before the Shura Empress died, she merged her magic treasure with the Wasteland Tower to form the treasure of the 100 races of the celestial realm that suppressed the Wasteland City. She also gave the control of the tower to the celestial realm's origin body. The long sword was the Shura sword of the Shura Empress Yi Tianxin. It contained Yi Tianxin's swordsmanship and was the core of the Wasteland Tower's control. In addition, I'll tell you that some of the insights I gained from watching cultivators fight until they died were actually gained from your preaching. In the past, there were countless cultivators with amazing talents, such as Star Monarch, Lai Yan Shirtian, and Yi Tianxing. They all walked the path that you denied in your preaching. They used their achievements to seek truth, and they used their achievements to suppress the Tao. That's why they all failed. Using one's achievements to suppress truth and Tao is not the right way of thinking. The right way should be to use one's principles to seek truth, and to use one's achievements to seek truth. The heavenly Tao cannot be destroyed. The celestial realm's origin body looked at Night Sorrow and explained what he had learned. No matter how domineering the heavenly Tao is, it can't destroy truth and truth. This is the truth. Night Sorrow understands what the Venerable said. Night Sorrow nodded. If you said this, people would be confused. But you understand. You've also hit the nail on the head. You're a cultivator of the Emperor's tribulation, so you have truth. You're the Emperor of merit, so you have reason. On the other hand, those cultivators with great achievements in the past failed and died, because they couldn't cultivate truth and reason. When your reason is greater than the heavens, then you can destroy the God's tribulation. Haha. The celestial realm's origin body laughed. Many thanks for the Venerable's teachings. Night Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands to the celestial realm's origin body. You're wrong. What I'm talking about is actually your Tao. I'm explaining your Tao to you. Your Tao has given me a lot of inspiration. Take this origin bead. If it's destroyed, then I'll be gone. You can arrange everything in the celestial realm yourself. If it's not destroyed, then help me look after the celestial realm. Don't let evil things take over the nest. The celestial realm's origin body said to Night Sorrow. It's more appropriate to give the Wasteland Tower to the City Lord. I'll take this origin bead. Night Sorrow said after taking the origin bead. The Wasteland Tower has merged with the celestial realm. Without the world's origin energy, it can't unleash its full power. I've already told him. His decision is also in your control. The Grand Elder and King Yawu are both clear about this. They love you and don't want you to be under too much pressure. That's why they didn't tell you some things. They're also cultivators close to the God-destroying tribulation. Their lifespans are only in the last era. They won't be able to pass. Their fates are in your hands, the celestial realm's origin body said. A cultivator with a reincarnated lifespan has to undergo the baptism of the God-destroying tribulation. This is the rule. How can I change it? Night Sorrow asked with some surprise. Passing the God-destroying tribulation, wielding the heavenly Tao, and controlling reincarnation. This is a prophecy. If you can pass the God-destroying tribulation, then it's possible to change this. Yi Tianxin's Shura sword isn't just a sword inheritance. It's also the core of this Wasteland Tower. After refining it, you'll understand everything. You have to be prepared. Yi Tianxin's Shura Tower was originally a top-notch heavenly Tao artifact. After it merged with the world, it was upgraded. You have the power of virtue in your body. After refining it, you might face the artifact-destroying tribulation. The rest is your problem. I can't do anything about it. Alright, I won't say anything more. If fate wills it, we'll meet again. After speaking, the celestial realm's origin body dissipated. It completely dissipated and began his reincarnation. Night Sorrow's body flashed and stood at the top of the Wasteland Tower. Then he activated the virtuous immortal body and let the virtuous golden light cover the sky. He hoped that his power of virtue would be able to increase the fate and virtue of the celestial realm's origin body's reincarnation cycle. W Max $. New J Chapter. Section H Chapter. After activating the virtuous immortal body, Night Sorrow cupped his hands toward the void and said, Universe Sovereign, take care. Night Sorrow will wait for your return here. The virtuous golden light covered the sky and alarmed the cultivators in the wasteland city. The leaders of the Divine Beast clan also gathered together and looked at Night Sorrow in front of the wasteland tower. What's going on? He can actually reach the top of the wasteland tower? Lu Qi's face was full of shock. In the past, the sky above the wasteland tower was absolutely forbidden. The wasteland city has changed. The celestial realm has changed, Huang Ling muttered. At this moment, the sky above the wasteland city was full of red light. The red light and the virtuous golden light resonated, and then slowly dissipated into the void. Chapter 2136. Night Sorrow did not feel sad because everything was destined. 1,000 reincarnations was the lifespan of the sovereign world. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow sat at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. He placed the Shura sword on his knees and started refining the Heaven Wasteland Tower. After refining, Night Sorrow felt that something was wrong. The Shura sword was trembling and rejecting him. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow felt that it was because he was a clone. Night Sorrow's main body stood up from the clear sky tower. After a few flashes, he arrived at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and met up with his clone. Then he started refining the Shura sword. This guy is addicted to sitting in the tower. He used to sit in his own clear sky tower, but now he's even sitting in the Heaven Wasteland Tower? Xiao Jun, who had also rushed over, said, Can't you see the situation? The origin world sovereign of the celestial realm has already handed over the control of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. The Golden Dragon King glanced at Xiao Jun killing intent. An incomparably cold battle intent and killing intent followed Night Sorrow's soul power and attacked Night Sorrow's spirit sea. His soul power could not block it. Night Sorrow activated the virtuous immortal body and used the power of virtue to attack the Shura sword. The Shura sword was the core of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. When Night Sorrow's soul fire entered the Shura sword, the virtuous fire appeared on the surface of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and burned fiercely. Vayu had O'Hare R after refining. Night Sorrow discovered the soul imprint left behind by Yi Tianxin. It was a woman wearing a golden robe and holding a long sword. After roaming the celestial realm for countless years, I was unable to break through the demon imperial city. My heart is filled with regret. Even if I am invincible in the world, I still feel powerless in the face of the God Annihilation tribulation. My heart is filled with regret. After experiencing so much, I understand that although I can dominate the world with great achievements, I cannot overcome the heavenly Tao tribulation. The future generations will learn from this. Yi Tianxin's voice appeared in Night Sorrow's spirit sea. Night Sorrow thanks Senior for your guidance. Night Sorrow replied. To Night Sorrow's surprise, Yi Tianxin's soul imprint actually nodded at him. Spiritual intelligence. Night Sorrow was extremely shocked. This was because the soul imprints left behind by cultivators who had completely perished could only leave behind some information. They didn't have any intelligence. However, Yi Tianxin's soul imprint could respond to his words. This was a sign that it had intelligence. Senior, you didn't fall? Night Sorrow's soul power vibrated as he asked. Yi Tianxin, who was wearing a golden crown, smiled at Night Sorrow, but did not respond. The heavenly Tao heart is the heavenly Tao heart, and the heavenly Tao heart is the heavenly Tao. I understood this a little late. The 100 races of the celestial realm still have to rely on outstanding latecomers like you. Work hard. I look forward to seeing you wield the heavenly Tao and control reincarnation. Night Sorrow, what a good name. After leaving behind these words, Yi Tianxin's figure suddenly disappeared. It was a sudden disappearance, but not a dissipation. Yi Tianxin's soul disappeared. Night Sorrow's heart was greatly shocked. He was certain that Yi Tianxin had not completely perished. After completely perishing, the soul imprint would not have intelligence. Night Sorrow pondered, but he did not stop refining the Wasteland Pagoda. The members of the 100 Races Alliance in the Wasteland Pagoda all retreated without any notice. They looked at the Wasteland Pagoda in the blazing flames of the fire of virtue and were extremely shocked. That was the divine artifact of the 100 races of the celestial realm. It had not changed much for many years. But today, Night Sorrow appeared at the top of the pagoda, where it used to be, and the fire of virtue also appeared. The fire of virtue shuttled back and forth in the wasteland pagoda, constantly baptizing and refining the wasteland pagoda. Night Sorrow also saw the original version of the heavenly guide sword way in the Azura sword. Night Sorrow also understood what Yi Tianxin's final pursuit was. What he sought the most was to use Tao to control Tao, to guide the heavenly Tao to counter the heavenly Tao. As for the result, Night Sorrow knew that he did not succeed, because he had disappeared in the long river of history. However, the original version of the heavenly guide sword way had a great impact on Night Sorrow. Yi Tianxin cultivated the Tao of beginning, which had a taboo attribute. As he understood, some insights appeared in Night Sorrow's mind. The Tao of beginning was rapidly improving. However, this was only for a short period of time, because the wasteland pagoda was upgraded after being baptized by the fire of virtue. Tribulation clouds appeared in the sky. The weapon tribulation had arrived. The upgrade of the wasteland pagoda had triggered the weapon tribulation of the heavenly Tao. Night Sorrow stood at the top of the wasteland pagoda and looked at the heavenly tribulation. His heart was filled with emotions. The heavenly tribulation was a nightmare for all cultivators. It was something that no one was willing to face. It was also something that everyone pursued. Tribulation. This is Tao, and also the tribulation of Tao. And I, Night Sorrow, not only pursue Tao, I also pursue reason. Tao is great, reason is great, reason is the greatest. Today I, Night Sorrow, will protect and nurse the Tao. I have reason in my body. I will not avoid the heavenly tribulation. Back off. Night Sorrow raised his head and shouted. Words were law. The tribulation cloud stopped pressing down, and instead floated up. Break. Night Sorrow waved his arm, and the Azura sword flew out. The Azura sword with the golden light of virtue grew bigger and bigger. With a mighty and upright aura, it slashed towards the tribulation clouds in the sky. Golden light flashed and the tribulation clouds were cut into two halves. Slash again. Night Sorrow raised his right arm and slashed towards the sky again. A golden sword light appeared and slashed out again. After the dark clouds parted, the bright moon could be seen. The tribulation clouds in the sky were broken by Night Sorrow's two slashes, and the sun that was covered by the tribulation clouds appeared. The tribulation clouds dispersed. After breaking through the tribulation clouds, Night Sorrow sat on the top of the shining heaven wasteland tower and began to cultivate, shocking everything. Night Sorrow's words and actions shocked everyone in Heaven Wasteland City and subverted everyone's beliefs. In the past, when the heavenly tribulation appeared, it was not their own tribulation. Everyone would stay far away from it because they could not interfere with the heavenly tribulation. However, when the weapon tribulation of the Heaven Wasteland Tower arrived, Night Sorrow did not avoid it and directly faced it head-on. With a word and two slashes, he resolved the heavenly tribulation and forced it back. From the beginning to the end, the tribulation clouds did not send out a single lightning tribulation. When all the cultivators were muddle-headed, Night Sorrow had already understood and comprehended. Tao is great, reason is the greatest. The Golden Dragon King murmured. Is it wrong to say that Tao is great? The Heavenly Astral King looked at the Golden Dragon King. Night Sorrow said that reason is the greatest. It is not easy for us to analyze this conclusion, but in fact his words are the law. It is reason. The Golden Dragon King said. We understand Tao, but where can we find this reason? Lu Qi was also a little confused. You ask us, but who should we ask? Let's wait for Night Sorrow to not be busy and ask Night Sorrow. The Golden Dragon King looked at the figure on the Heaven Wasteland Tower and said. Night Sorrow stayed at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and fell into deep thought. Recently his comprehension was too deep. It could even be said that it was a painful comprehension. It was the comprehension that the predecessors had paved with their blood and lives. This time, Yishang spent 3 days comprehending the Heaven Wasteland Pagoda and had a better understanding of it. The Heaven Wasteland Tower did not have a weapon spirit, but it had a core. The Shura sword was the core. Controlling the Shura sword meant controlling the Heaven Wasteland Tower. In addition, the Heaven Wasteland Tower was an immovable treasure like the Heaven Sealing Great Hall and the Reincarnation Palace. The meaning of its existence was to guard the Heaven Wasteland City. Chapter 2137. Night Sorrow, what's the situation? The Golden Dragon King asked. It's a long story. Let's talk in my mansion. Night Sorrow nodded at them and left with his original body to continue cultivating on the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. His avatar led the group into his mansion and told them about the apocalypse tribulation and the situation of the Heaven Wasteland Tower. The origin of the celestial realm has left. We can only rely on ourselves in this era, the Heavenly Astral King said. The others nodded. The current situation was indeed very grim. Night Sorrow, what happened to you just now? Huangling looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Night Sorrow smiled and told her about the weapon calamity. When the Heaven Wasteland Tower was upgraded, it had the merit Taoist rhyme. The power of the heavenly tribulation wasn't great and was equivalent to the Emperor Tribulation. His merit cultivation was at the merit Emperor realm. He could suppress it a little but couldn't solve it completely. Amazing. That means you can solve the heavenly Tao below the Emperor Tribulation with just a word. Huangling looked at Night Sorrow with envy. I can't use it carelessly. I can only speak louder when I'm reasonable. If I'm unreasonable, I probably can't even open my mouth. Night Sorrow smiled. As they chatted, the Golden Dragon King and the others asked about the principles and Tao. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything and gave them a rough explanation. Of course, it was one thing to understand it and another to apply it. Night Sorrow, you can control the Heaven Wasteland Tower. Let me lead the people to battle. No one is more suitable than you to guard the Heaven Wasteland City, Lu Qi said. It's the same old plan. My original body will stay behind to guard the Heaven Wasteland City, and my avatar will lead the people to battle. I have the origin of the world, and am sensitive to the origin of the outer realm. I will find it, wipe out its evil aura, and bring it back. Night Sorrow didn't waver in his determination to battle. Lu Qi looked at the others. Since they didn't say anything, he didn't say anything either. He knew that Night Sorrow's realm was lower than his, but his combat strength wasn't any weaker than his. Using Night Sorrow's words, it made sense. The two armies of the Samsara Island arrived at the Heavenly Desolate City and entered their encampment. The first army and the God-slaying team also arrived at the mansion. Night Sorrow informed them to make preparations for the battle. They had to keep up with the supply of resources and pills. They would depart in 2 days. Although there was still no news, Night Sorrow knew that he couldn't keep waiting. Would he not fight without news? That would delay the battle. 2 days later, Night Sorrow's clone left Heavenly Desolate City with the Clear Sky Pagoda and the 9 Regions Origin Pearl. Doing so would not delay the cultivation of his main body, because cultivating at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Pagoda would achieve the same effect as cultivating on the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. Besides, the Heaven Wasteland Pagoda's radiation area was large. Night Sorrow could sense the area where his soul merged with the heaven and earth on the Nirvana Ocean Bridge. The battle team set off. Heavenly Desolate City was still as peaceful as ever. What was different was that there was a figure at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Pagoda. It was a figure wrapped in all kinds of golden characters. Night Sorrow would sometimes stand up and perform some of the Wuji spear arts. He continued to draw in the Wuji energy for analysis. Night Sorrow's clone led the team to the Green Rock Race's territory. Using the teleportation array set up by the Green Rock Race, they arrived at the entrance of the Doomsday Realm and the Celestial Realm. Seeing Night Sorrow, Long Yixing and Tian Yunsong, who were guarding the place, cupped their hands and greeted Night Sorrow. Their seniority and cultivation were higher than Night Sorrow's, but Night Sorrow was the human sovereign. In terms of status, he had surpassed them. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and returned the greeting. He ordered the soldiers behind him to set up camp. He needed to understand more before he could bring the team to battle. On the second day after Night Sorrow brought the team, Forefather Greenrock came back with a few of his people. After returning, he went directly to Night Sorrow's tent. Patriarch Night, the situation is not very good. We don't know the origin of the outer realm. There are many cultivators there, and their levels are very high. A large number of 9th-rank cultivators, and there are also sovereign and sovereign tribulation experts. I have already seen cultivators of the tribulation of 3 sovereigns, Forefather Green Rock said. Old Ancestor Green Rock said with a solemn expression. That was because the tribulation of 3 emperors was already an incredible expert. If it's the tribulation of 3 sovereigns or 4 sovereigns, then I can lead the team to kill them. If it's any higher, it won't be possible. They will be a threat to our team. It will be very difficult to kill them. Night Sorrow said. It's hard to say. We don't know what the hell is going on. After all, we haven't experienced anything like this before. Forefather Green Rock cursed. Yeah, we haven't experienced anything like this before. However, we have to walk our own path. It might be very difficult. If we look back after we walk past it, perhaps it will be a very interesting path. Who is the formation Dao expert here? Night Sorrow didn't have any thoughts of retreating. The apocalypse was coming, and there was no way to avoid it. In addition, he felt that the spatial tunnel needed to be sealed. Although it couldn't completely block the aura of the apocalypse from corroding the celestial realm, it could at least affect it a little. We have an Imperial Emperor level formation master in the Azure Dragons. Long Yixing said. Tell him to hurry up and set up a sealing formation here. Don't ask for too much. In fact, it can't be sealed. Just control it to the extent that it can be controlled. The cost of setting up the formation can be obtained from the Tianhuang city. Night Sorrow said. Long Yixing went to make the arrangements. Night Sorrow returned to the tent that Tianyu, Long Jin, and Lin Chuan had set up. Brother 13, when are we going to start the war? Tianyu asked. We'll set off tomorrow morning. I originally thought that since our cultivation bases have increased, it would be easier to deal with any difficulties we encounter. However, I've discovered that that's not the case. We are strong, but so are our opponents. Yishan lamented. Don't worry. We are brothers. There's nothing we can't solve. We will kill our way in. Long Jin said. Night Sorrow nodded at Long Jin. Long Jin's way of thinking was relatively simple. He would never avoid or retreat when there was a problem. Translator. Sparrow Translations Editor. Sparrow Translations. Night Sorrow called the leaders of the teams into the tent. Everyone, some of you have fought with me many times. Some of you have only fought once or twice. This time, we are going to fight again. I won't hide the situation from everyone. It's not good. Be prepared. The only thing I can do is to fight with everyone and not leave anyone behind. Commander, the 2 of us have not fought with you for a long time. However, we definitely have the fighting spirit that we should have. Nanyong said. I believe in everyone. Go back and prepare. We will start the war tomorrow morning. Night Sorrow nodded at the few of them. Night Sorrow then went to the camp of the god-slaying team. Seeing that a portion of the team was missing, Night Sorrow felt a little uncomfortable. The members of the god-slaying team knew Night Sorrow well, and didn't say anything. Chapter 2138. We will wait for our brothers to return, Guan Yi said. Not just wait, 12th senior brother. When I entered the sect, I understood something. Sometimes, living is not for yourself, but for the people around you. For the people who love you and care about you. Death is not scary. Once you close your eyes, you won't know anything. It's the people around you who are sad. For the people who love you and care about you, don't be sad. Don't be sad. Live well. Night Sorrow said to Guan Yi. Night Sorrow had indeed learned this from Guan Yi. Back then, Night Sorrow only had Gugu's father by his side. He didn't care much about life and death. But after seeing Guan Yi's death affect the sadness of the disciples of Taishian Peak, he was touched. All the members of the god-slaying team nodded. They all understood what Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow's ability to think in other people's shoes was one of the reasons they trusted Night Sorrow the most. Coming out of the god-slaying team's base, Night Sorrow saw Pu Luo, Lin Piaomiao, and Yu Zhu. Night Sorrow knew they were worried about him, so he didn't refuse and arranged for the 3 of them to stay. After a night's rest, Night Sorrow led the team into the world of tribulations. Night Sorrow felt it would be better to solve the problem in the world of tribulations as soon as possible. The 100 races of the celestial realm should focus on the Devil Wing clan, which was the biggest threat. Night Sorrow didn't split up this time because it would be difficult to deal with the experts. He believed in Pu Luo and Lin Piaomiao's strength, but he still didn't want to take the risk. Not long after they entered the world of tribulations, the battle began. There were many cultivators in the world of tribulations, and their cultivation levels were also high. Night Sorrow didn't make a move and let his subordinates fight in formation. Night Sorrow was mentally prepared for the strong opponents. If the opponents weren't strong, they wouldn't have become the celestial realm's tribulation. They wouldn't have qualified to become a tribulation. Night Sorrow was also observing the battle. At the same time, he also learned that the difficulty of the battle was different, and the rewards would be different. After killing the cultivators in the world of tribulations, the crystal cores obtained by Night Sorrow's subordinates contain very pure energy, which was especially suitable for absorption and absorption. In the heaven realm, there were things like killing opponents to obtain crystal cores, but only low-level cultivators would do it. High-level cultivators would not do it. If they did so, they would be labeled as unscrupulous demons and become the public enemy of the heaven realm. Naturally, this rule did not apply in the world of tribulations. During the battle, Night Sorrow and his men kept pushing forward. Whenever an Emperor Tribulation cultivator appeared, Night Sorrow would attack. This was because the Emperor Tribulation cultivator was not a challenge to him, and there was no need for him to sharpen himself. It was better to let his men fight and sharpen themselves. Ndi Pu Luo, Lin Piaomiao, and Yu Zhu often discuss cultivation problems with Yi Shang. Yi Shang defined it as a discussion, but in reality, Pu Luo and the other two were asking for advice. This was because Yi Shang talked to them about the problems of reason, which was a field they didn't understand. For Pu Luo, Lin Piaomiao, and Yu Zhu, it was not difficult to understand. They were cultivators, and the key was that they didn't know much about principles. Night Sorrow's principles came from the body of merits, but they didn't have the body of merits. Night Sorrow told the three of them his understanding. He didn't think that only cultivators with the body of merits could cultivate principles. Principles existed everywhere in the world. As long as one's heart was righteous, as long as one cultivated morality, the principles would be in one's body. Pu Luo, Lin Piaomiao, and Yu Zhu could only cultivate morality and morality. During the battle, Night Sorrow led the team forward. When they had advanced far enough, Night Sorrow would set up a transmission formation. He couldn't let the team be disconnected from the rear. They had to communicate at all times and share information. The transmission was convenient, and the supply of resources would not be a problem. As they advanced, Night Sorrow also guided everyone's cultivation. They had cultivated to the level of tribulation of 3 emperors, and they had many attributes. Night Sorrow had no problem guiding everyone's cultivation. Moreover, battle formations were first promoted by Night Sorrow. He was the originator of battle formations. Night Sorrow also often activated the 9-region origin bead to sense the area where the origin of tribulation was. Only when he obtained the origin of tribulation realm could the tribulation realm cause the least damage to the celestial realm. Thus, the celestial realm's origin would not be harmed. Of course, the origin of the celestial realm no longer existed, and it had begun to reincarnate. While guiding others in their cultivation, Yi Shang was also learning and using other strengths to strengthen himself. Yi Shang had never looked down on anyone, even if there were many cultivators whose cultivation was lower than his. He knew that everyone was good at different things, so he could learn from others' thoughts. After setting up camp, while Night Sorrow was thinking about how to find the origin of Tribulation Realm, Lin Piaomiao and Yu Zhu entered his tent and asked Night Sorrow about the Wasteland Tower. They had just learned about it. Night Sorrow never hid anything from the people around him. He told them what had happened recently. That means you now have control of the Celestial Realm's strongest treasure, the Wasteland Tower? Yu Zhu asked excitedly. Yes. I didn't want to accept it, but the truth is that the Wasteland Tower can only be used by cultivators who have the origin of Tribulation Realm. I had no choice but to accept it. Night Sorrow nodded. Legend has it that if you control the Wasteland Tower, you can learn Yi Tianxin's secret technique. Alliance leader, what did you learn? After Yi Tianxin fell, only the peerless Sword Emperor received the inheritance. Yu Zhu was more interested in this. The Heavenly Sword Technique. I have practiced it before, but I don't think the most precious thing she left behind is the Heavenly Sword Technique. It is her own understanding. Also, I suspect that Yi Tianxin didn't fall, but I can't say for sure. Knight Sorrow said. Are you saying that the Shura Empress Yi Tianxin didn't fall? Yu Zhu looked at Knight Sorrow strangely. She was shocked by this news. In the past, there were many amazing cultivators in the celestial realm. These people didn't come from the same time period, so there was no way to rank them. However, in everyone's impression, the celestial realm's most glorious period was when the Shura race ruled the celestial realm. The Shura Empress Yi Tianxin's reputation was higher than the others. She fought her way into the Demon Imperial City. The Demon-winged race didn't have any territory other than the Demon Imperial City. Now that Knight Sorrow said that Yi Tianxin didn't fall, Yu Zhu and Lin Piaomiao were naturally shocked. Then Knight Sorrow told them why he came to this conclusion. But there hasn't been any news of her for countless years. Emperor Realm cultivators don't go through the god-destroying trial. Their lifespan is fixed, Yu Zhu said. The demon ancestor was a cultivator a long time ago. He is currently in a deep sleep. When his soul returns, he will wake up. His lifespan has long passed the fixed lifespan. It is possible that Yi Tianxin exists in another way. Knight Sorrow shook his head. Chapter 2139. 20/original K version. H version benefits? Haha. It's not fun to talk about it. Knight Sorrow laughed. Tell us, Lin Piaomiao asked. What we can see and feel is the acquisition of resources. Fighting against the cultivators of the Tribulation Realm is different from our battles in the past. They carry a lot of resources with them. The energy contained in their crystal cores far surpasses that of the Saint Spirit Stones. In terms of level, they should be on par with the Emperor Spirit Stones and Monarch Spirit Stones that only exist in the early stages of the Heaven Realm. Yi Shan said. The current currency in the Celestial Realm was the Holy Spirit Stones. The better ones were the highest grade Holy Spirit Stones, but none of them exceeded the limit of the Holy Spirit Stones. Among the resources in the Heavenly Barren City, there were high-grade spiritual stones. However, they were used in special times to set up formations. High-grade spiritual stones like Lord Spirit Stones and Emperor Spirit Stones were once produced in the Celestial Realm. However, that was during the Golden Age of the Celestial Realm. There were some during the first 700 reincarnations. During the last 300 reincarnations, the origin of the Celestial Realm stabilized the energy of the realm and stopped producing high-grade spiritual stones. Therefore, high-grade spiritual stones were nowhere to be found. The storage of high-grade Holy Spirit Stones in the Celestial Realm was getting smaller and smaller. During the last 300 reincarnations of the Celestial Realm, the 100 Races Alliance in the Celestial Realm had almost used up all the high-grade spiritual stones they had stored in order to fight against the Demon Wing clan. So you're saying that the level of spiritual stones we kill depends on the level of the opponent we kill? Yu Zhu asked. Yi Shang shook his head and corrected him. Killing opponents in the Tribulation Realm would give him crystal cores equivalent to high-level spirit stones, not spirit stones. The Celestial Realm no longer produces high-grade spiritual stones. Since the Tribulation Realm is not the end of the world, will there be high-grade spiritual stone mines? Yu Zhu asked excitedly. We're here to solve the end of the world. You want high-grade spiritual stone mines? What a big heart. Fighting for the Celestial Realm will give you the merit of the Apocalypse. Fighting for the Celestial Realm will give you the fortune of the Celestial Realm. Fighting for the 100 Races of the Celestial Realm will give you the fortune of the 100 Races of the Celestial Realm. Fighting for the 100 Races of the Celestial Realm will give you the fortune of the 100 Races of the Celestial Realm. The Apocalypse is different from other times. This is a special time. It is a time that requires hard work. Hard work will make it easier to obtain some things. This is the great era that the Grand Elder spoke of. Knight Sorrow explained to the two. Let's fight. This world is the place for us to make a name for ourselves. Kill them. Yuzhu waved her arm. Night Sorrow, I've realized that you've really changed. You don't say things easily, but the words you say are all logical. Lin Pianmiao sized up Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow looked at himself. He didn't think so. Virtuous Emperor, you have principles. Your words are the truth, Pu Luo said after entering the tent. Night Sorrow smiled. He brewed a pot of tea and they chatted. The Humanitarian League had been around for a long time. They were all like-minded brothers. Over the years they didn't even disagree, let alone argue. Night Sorrow, you have to hold on. We'll have no problem passing the Emperor's trial. We still have a lot of lifespan left. But you have to work hard. Yuzhu's voice was choking. In her eyes, Night Sorrow had many identities. But there was one that others didn't know. She looked at Night Sorrow like a little brother. Don't worry. I think that as long as you work hard, there's nothing you can't do. With perseverance and determination, there's no path you can't walk. You have to believe me. I, Yi Shang, will definitely leave behind a different and thick stroke in this great era. Yi Shang extended his fist towards the group. Pu Luo and the others also raised their fist and bumped Night Sorrow's fist. Night Sorrow's soul power was very strong. He separated the team and pushed forward in the area covered by his soul power. He did this to increase efficiency. Battles kept happening. The cultivators in the Tribulation Realm noticed them because Night Sorrow and the others' auras didn't blend with the Tribulation Realm. As they moved forward, more and more battles happened. Their target's cultivation was also getting stronger. Night Sorrow was ready to fight. He waved his blood-chilling evil-slaying spear and killed the cultivators in the Tribulation Realm. He was the most efficient. The other Emperor's trial cultivators didn't have as many kills as him. He also collected a lot of high-level crystal cores. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Night Sorrow felt that his efficiency was still low. He didn't know how big the Tribulation Realm was. If he was slow, he would waste a lot of time. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow made a few communication tokens and gave them to Pu Luo, Lin Pianmiao, and Yuzhu. After a month of training, Night Sorrow decided to split them up to increase efficiency. Night Sorrow gave the 2 commands to Lin Pianmiao and Yuzhu. He gave the first command to Pu Luo and led the God-slaying team. This was based on strength. The members of the 2 commands were mainly emperors. Some of the captains were already emperors. Night Sorrow let Yuzhu and Lin Pianmiao, who were relatively weaker, lead them. The first command followed Pu Luo. The first command had fewer people but was relatively stronger. The God-slaying team was the most cohesive and had the best teamwork. However, there were some obvious shortcomings. They had fewer people, and their individual cultivation was lower than the other 3 teams. Therefore, Night Sorrow decided to lead the team himself. Night Sorrow believed in his own strength, so he decided to lead the weakest. Night Sorrow made the following arrangements. Pu Luo led the first command to the left, followed by Yuzhu's team. Then he led the God-slaying team. Lin Pianmiao led the Nanyong Unified Heaven Wasteland Army to the right. Night Sorrow made this arrangement in order to save time. Pu Luo was the strongest, so he was relatively far away from him. Lin Pianmiao and Yuzhu were close to him. Night Sorrow also set the distance. Each team was 2 million miles apart. Within this distance, if there was a call for help, he would be able to rush over in a moment. There was another reason for setting the distance of 2 million miles. After a month of fighting, Yi Shang found that the cultivators at the level of sovereign tribulation between the Heaven Realm and the Tribulation Realm had a sensing range of 1 million miles. Every team was 200 miles away from each other, so the sensing range of the intersecting chi could be used to scan the area. No sovereign tribulation cultivators would be able to escape. Night Sorrow also explained the reason for this arrangement. Night Sorrow's decision was supported by Pu Luo and the others. After the arrangements were made, the teams set off. Night Sorrow's team was the last to set off. He just needed to set off directly and didn't need to move horizontally. Lin Chuan, Tianyu, you 2 will be the scouts. Long Jin, you lead the team. The others will fight according to the orders. Our goal is very simple. Kill all the people in this tribulation realm, Night Sorrow said. Lin Chuan, Tianyu, and Long Jin nodded and accepted the order. Lin Chuan, Long Hao Lin Yun, and Duan Qianshui all joined the Samsara Island. Long Hao and Duan Qianshui joined the other two commands. Lin Chuan and Lin Yun stayed in the god-slaying team. Chapter 2140. Among the members of the god-slaying team, Long Jin had the strongest commanding ability, and was also the most stable. Night Sorrow trusted him the most. Captain, our original bodies are still cultivating. If we come later, we can increase our efficiency, said Liang Yu. That's right. Our original bodies aren't here, so our fighting strength isn't at its peak. Yin Huang had the same idea as Liang Yu. The god-slaying team was fighting alone. They wanted the glory of the god-slaying team to continue. They didn't want to be looked down upon by others, even if it was a team of brothers. Latest chapter. Previous chapter _ no need. Your original bodies should continue cultivating. This concerns your future achievements. We can't delay our future because of one battle. Night Sorrow shook his head and rejected Liang Yu and Yin Huang's suggestion. After closing his eyes and drinking half a jar of wine, Night Sorrow led the team out. The members of the god-slaying team realized that Night Sorrow had changed. Previously, Night Sorrow's aura was calm and deep. Now it was sharp and full of killing intent. He didn't even hesitate to change his route. As long as an emperor rank or above cultivator appeared within the range of his soul power, Night Sorrow would kill them all. The members of the god-slaying team all felt Night Sorrow's change. It was the same state when Night Sorrow led the team 700 years ago. The feeling is back. This is how we felt back then, said Yin Huang with deep emotions. Everyone's state of mind is different at every time. Captain's cultivation and realm have increased, so the change is greater, said Lei Bao. That's right. We're all growing up. Everyone is different from back then. Back then we were a bunch of hotheads. Now we all have families and children. Many of us are even great ancestors. Yin Zheng sighed. Lei Bao, Lei Zheng, Li Yue, Ho Jian, Night Sorrow, and I should apologize to you. It's mainly because of me. Night Sorrow slept for 700 years. During those 700 years, I didn't have the mood to deal with anything. During these 700 years, the development of the Medicine Valley was a bit excessive. You guys have suffered, said Yang Lei to Lei Bao and the others. At this moment, Night Sorrow was not around, so she wanted to speak up for Night Sorrow. Ninth senior sister, you're thinking too much. We do have families and sex, but it's fine as long as our sex and families can exist peacefully. If there really is a great crisis, we'll speak up. Nan Liu said. Last time when he mentioned that the Nanda sect had become the Nanda clan, he was in a lot of pain. Yang Lei said to Nan Liu. Ninth senior sister, in fact, only the Taishan Peak can represent the Medicine Valley. If Taishan Peak doesn't do anything, the other peaks will only make a move. They don't dare to exterminate families and families. So we know what to do. When the Nanda sect became the Nanda clan, my father also talked to me. I don't think there's anything wrong with developing elites. Also, we don't have to worry. Night Sorrow is our brother. If there really is a crisis, he can resolve it by speaking up. Nan Liu hugged Yang Lei. Some things did happen in the eastern Xian region, but Nan Liu and the others really didn't blame anyone. They knew in their hearts that some things could be resolved by speaking up. They also didn't blame the Yi family or Night Sorrow's wives. Because when Night Sorrow was in a deep sleep, the Yi family had already been silent and didn't have much interaction with the outside world. With you guys as my brothers and sisters, I have nothing to say. Yang Lei nodded to Nan Liu and the others. Ninth senior sister, you have to be mentally prepared. Our Thunder Rumbling sect is developing again. The Thunder Rumbling sect will avoid the Taishan Peak, but they will have to give back the territories that were taken by the other peaks in the Medicine Valley. If they go and invite that Grand Supreme Xiang, then we won't be polite either, Lei Bao said. Xiang Tianding was the king, but Lei Bao and Lei Zheng were both emperors. If they fought, the Medicine Valley would still be at a disadvantage. One had to know that most of the emperors in the Medicine Valley were from the Taishan Peak. Even if they weren't from the Taishan Peak, the Qinzhen would still follow Night Sorrow's lead. Do as you see fit. Night Sorrow said that other than the mountain gate of the Medicine Valley, he won't care about anything else. However, don't touch Juyuan City. That's our Yi family's territory, Yang Lei said with a smile. Haha. Of course not. Even if it's the other peaks in the Medicine Valley, we will still give them some face. It's best if they keep a low profile. It's better to develop an organization by relying on elites. The Night Moon Dynasty is a typical example. They don't have many members, but who dares to look down on them? Ho Jian said. Although they were chatting, it didn't affect the battle. The God-slaying team didn't have many members, but they advanced quickly. They fought together. In terms of teamwork, if the God-slaying team said they were second, no one would dare to say they were first. The main reason was that Night Sorrow was also very fast. Cultivators at the same cultivation level as Night Sorrow couldn't compare to him in terms of attack power and lethality. Those at a lower cultivation level would be killed instantly, because Night Sorrow's speed and attack power didn't give his opponents a chance to defend themselves. Night Sorrow was often not in the team. Most of the time, he fought alone. He didn't worry about the God-slaying team being in danger. Even if the distance was beyond the detection range of his soul power, he could still sense the aura. If an Imperial Tribulation Realm opponent appeared in the God-slaying team's area, he would be able to detect it immediately and rush back in time. As they advanced, Night Sorrow often went to support the other teams. Pu Luo had the cultivation level of Tribulation 4 Emperors, and his combat power was very strong. He could take care of some opponents. Night Sorrow mainly supported Yuzhu and Lin Piaomiao's teams. Night Sorrow told Lin Piaomiao and Yuzhu to inform him if a cultivator above Tribulation 2 Emperors appeared. As the four teams advanced, more and more Tribulation Realm cultivators were killed. Night Sorrow found that the Tribulation Realm was similar to the Celestial Realm. There were many different races of cultivators, but there was a pattern. They were all under a unified command and seemed to be moving toward the spatial tunnel. This situation made Night Sorrow realize that the Tribulation Realm was mobilizing people toward the Celestial Realm to start an attack. He even felt that the spatial tunnel might already be under attack. However, Night Sorrow didn't plan to go back to help. Even if he had set up a transmission formation on the way of the God-slaying team, it would be very convenient for him to go back to help. He planned to continue killing his way in and solve the fundamental problem. The battle continued, and the killing continued. At this time, no one was soft-hearted because this was a war without right or wrong. This was the war for the Celestial Realm to survive the Doomsday Tribulation. On this day, after Yi Shang killed a second Sovereign Tribulation cultivator, he sensed another opportunity. Following the sense, he sensed that the cultivator from the Tribulation Realm had a much higher cultivation level than him. It should be a Tribulation 5 Emperor's cultivator. After chasing over to see the situation, Night Sorrow was shocked. He had hit a big fish and caused trouble. He met an army led by a Tribulation 5 Emperor's cultivator. At this time the army stopped. Countless cultivators from the Tribulation Realm looked at Night Sorrow, as if they were looking at a fool. Chapter 2141. This was too much. Night Sorrow's speed was too fast. His soul force had already explored clearly, and his body had also rushed to the ground. Because of his confidence, Night Sorrow had chased after the cultivators of the Tribulation world with all his strength. Now he had hit a big iron plate, and as long as he was not a fool, he would know that this iron plate was very hard. The leader of the Tribulation world was a Tribulation of 5 Emperors. There were a few Tribulation of 3 Emperors below him, and many Tribulation of 1 Emperors. The rest of the Tribulation of Emperors were everywhere. Looking at the army in front of him, Night Sorrow knew that this was an important force of the Tribulation world's impact on the Celestial Realm. The first centimeter. At this time, the soldiers of the Tribulation world looked at Night Sorrow with pity in their eyes, and some of them had a playful smile, just like a pack of wolves looking at a sheep. One person. The commander of the Tribulation world's army looked at Night Sorrow and spat out 3 words. One person at the moment. Night Sorrow responded, "Then why aren't you running?" Looking at Night Sorrow, the commander of the Tribulation world's army raised the corner of his mouth, and his face was full of ridicule. Why should I run? Whether or not I can do it, I still have to fight. If I can't, it's not too late to run. Tell me your name? Night Sorrow raised his chin at the tribulation of 5 emperors cultivator. You should be a smart person to be able to become a tribulation of 3 emperors cultivator at such a young age. I don't know if you are brave or stupid now. There is no harm in telling you my name. I am Lu Xing. The leader of the tribulation world said. Night Sorrow took a deep breath, stepped on the ground, and sent out a destructive shock wave. With Night Sorrow's stomp, it was as if a dragon had drilled into the ground. The dirt and stones on the ground rose up and down, and they rushed towards Calamity World's army. Night Sorrow used the force of his stomp to rise into the air. He used Void Step and Spacetime Realm to bypass the meteor and rush into Calamity World's army. He then waved the Blood Kirin evil-slaying spear and started killing. Like a tiger in a flock of sheep, Night Sorrow released the Haotian Pagoda and merged it with his body. With the Taboo Reincarnation Precept domain protecting him, and the Bloodchilin Evil Slayer Spear, Night Sorrow began to kill the soldiers of the Realm of Calamity. He specifically targeted the cultivators of the One Sovereign Tribulation and the Imperial Tribulation because such attacks could achieve the most efficiency. The cultivators under the Tribulation of 3 Emperors were not easy to kill. It took a lot of time, so Night Sorrow chose to kill the high-level cultivators under the Tribulation of 3 Emperors. They were the backbone of the world of tribulations. How dare you? Lu Xing roared angrily and chased after Yi Shang when he saw a first Emperor Tribulation cultivator and 2 Emperor Tribulation cultivators being killed. Night Sorrow responded with a smile. Why wouldn't I dare? Ignoring Lu Xing's roar, Night Sorrow began to kill in the army of tribulations. Looking at a fool? The soldiers of the realm of calamity looked at Night Sorrow as if they were looking at a fool. Now that they knew they had misjudged him, how could he be a fool? He was a god of death. Lu Xing chased after him while Night Sorrow killed in front. While killing, he kept a distance from Lu Xing. Night Sorrow's killing efficiency was high because of his strong suppression. The taboo attribute suppressed the supreme attribute, and it suppressed high-level and ordinary attributes even more. There were no supreme attribute cultivators in the army of the realm of calamity, so everyone was suppressed by Night Sorrow's taboo reincarnation precept domain. If they were suppressed, they could not withstand Night Sorrow's sharp and overbearing attacks, and could not stop Night Sorrow. The soldiers of the realm of calamity fell in droves. Night Sorrow also asked Shao Kong to collect the crystal cores of the cultivators of the realm of calamity that he killed. Those were all good things. In addition, when he attacked, he also attacked the head. The spear light cut open the opponent's head, so it was easy for Shao Kong to collect it. The Void Steps was a movement technique, and the Spacetime Realm had the dual effect of movement and defense. Lu Xing chased after Night Sorrow with a few cultivators of the 3 Sovereign Tribulation, but they could not even touch his shadow. All their attacks missed. Kill. Night Sorrow kept killing in and out of the army of the realm of calamity. Shao Kong controlled the energy of the Haotian Pagoda to sweep through the area where Night Sorrow was fighting and collect the crystal cores of the opponents killed by Night Sorrow. A drop of blood essence of a sovereign tribulation cultivator was a stream, and a body of blood was a river. Night Sorrow really had a river of blood behind him. Night Sorrow felt that he had a warlike gene in his bones. He did not have any thoughts of fear. As the battle unfolded, the blood in his body boiled. Lu Xing knew that he had made a mistake. The question of not running was answered by Night Sorrow's strength. With Night Sorrow's strength, there was no need for him to run. In Night Sorrow's opinion, he had gone too far this time. He might have kicked an iron plate. In Lu Xing's eyes, wasn't he also an iron plate? Who was the wolf and who was the sheep? Who could say for sure? After half a cup of tea's time, Night Sorrow killed through the army of Lu Xing. He took a breath and used the Spacetime Realm. With a void travel, he drew an arc and bypassed Lu Xing and the others. Night Sorrow entered the army again to kill. You are an expert. You have to have the demeanor of an expert. Do you dare to stop and fight one-on-one? Lu Xing shouted. Night Sorrow's movement technique was too profound. He could not stop him with his subordinates. Just now you all thought I was a fool. Now you want me to have the demeanor of an expert? You think too much. This is also a one-on-one. I am willing to fight a group of you. Night Sorrow wanted to expand his victory. How could he stop? Besides, this was a war. Do you still have the dignity of an expert? Lu Xing was extremely angry now, but Night Sorrow did not stop. You have the cultivation of a 5-emperor tribulation, and you want to fight a 3-emperor tribulation cultivator. Dignity? I have nothing to say, Night Sorrow said, but his hands did not stop at all. He kept killing. Lu Xing wanted to say something and curse, but he did not know what to say. Night Sorrow was telling the truth. It was unreasonable for him to ask for a one-on-one battle. His cultivation was 2 levels higher than Night Sorrow's. The battle continued. More and more cultivators from the Tribulation realm fell. If you have the ability, then fight. What is this? Lu Xing was about to go crazy. Seeing the warriors under his command being scattered and killed by Night Sorrow, the anger in his heart burned fiercely. Aren't we fighting? Your speed is not enough. You can't fight. Don't say I don't want to fight. Yi Shang grabbed a cultivator from the tribulation of the 2 sovereigns and attacked him. Yi Shang didn't know how to fight Lu Xing head-on. He hadn't reached the level yet. After killing this 2nd Emperor Tribulation opponent, Yi Shang planted a soul imprint on a 1st Emperor Tribulation cultivator. His body flashed a few times as he rushed out of the battle. Then he used the Void Step and Space-Time Realm consecutively to shake off Lu Xing and the others who were chasing after him. He disappeared from their sight and soul probing. A gentleman would not stand under a collapsing wall. This was war. If possible, Night Sorrow would not put himself in danger. At this time, he had used up half of his energy. He did not want to fight anymore. Anyway, he had left a soul mark, so he could come back to kill at any time. Lu Xing was angry that he did not catch Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's speed and space-time defense were too fast for him. Chapter 2142. After Night Sorrow left the meteor core, he found a secluded place and entered the Hao Tian Pagoda to recover. Then he checked his harvest. After checking the crystal cores, Night Sorrow praised Little Sky. Little Sky had helped him collect more than 200 crystal cores, weapons, and storage rings from the cultivators of the Tribulation realm. However, only a small portion of the cultivators had storage rings. Little Sky told Night Sorrow that he had collected all the crystal cores from the cultivators of the Tribulation realm. However, only the cultivators of the Tribulation realm had storage rings. Without clearing out the storage rings, Yi Shang hurried towards the area where the members of the God-slaying squad were. When he arrived, Yi Shang had the God-slaying squad stop moving forward and stay in the surrounding area. He then went to the areas where the other 3 teams were and brought them to the God-slaying squad's encampment. He announced that the squad would stop moving forward for now. Then he designated the area where they would be active until there were new orders. After giving the order, Night Sorrow went to the main tent of the God-slaying squad. He took out the storage rings and opened them to check. After checking, Night Sorrow smiled. He had gained a lot. He saw high-level spirit stones that he had never seen before, Monarch Spirit Stone and Emperor Spirit Stone. Holding the spirit stones, Night Sorrow could feel the dense energy contained within. While Night Sorrow was studying the high-level spirit stones, Pu Luo, Lin Piaomiao, Yuzhu, Lin Chuan, Long Jin, and Lin Yun all entered the tent. They wanted to ask why they had stopped moving forward. After entering the tent, Yuzhu and the others were dumbfounded. Night Sorrow had a storage ring on the table in front of him. Beside his feet was a dazzling array of materials. The most attractive thing was the high-level spirit stones that were half the size of a human head. Night Sorrow, where did you rob? As Lin Piaomiao was Night Sorrow's wife, she was the most suitable person to ask. I met a big fish. More accurately, I bumped into an iron plate. Since I didn't die, I naturally gained something, Night Sorrow said with a smile. What big fish? Take us to eat. Also, what did you get? Show us, Yuzhu said excitedly. That's fine too. Let's all be happy. You can take as many as you want. Night Sorrow took out the crystal cores. Damn. Alliance Master, what's going on with you? Pu Luo, who had always been calm, was no longer calm. Night Sorrow told him about his encounter with the World Legion of Calamity. Captain, that's where you're wrong. Are you planning to take on an army of thousands by yourself? Longjin asked. It's not that I want to eat it myself, it's just that I don't dare to take you guys with me. The commander of that army is the tribulation of 5 emperors, and there are also a few commanders of the tribulation of 3 emperors. I rely on my speed to make a living. I can fight and leave whenever I want. How are you going to retreat if you guys go with me? Night Sorrow explained the reason why he didn't want to take anyone with him. After Night Sorrow's explanation, everyone understood. Night Sorrow was very mobile. As long as he wasn't blocked, he would be invincible. If he took someone with him, it would be easy to fall into a trap. We're brothers and sisters. Whatever I get is yours. Take it yourselves. Night Sorrow's sleeve shook as he pushed the crystal cores and high-level spirit stones in front of everyone. Let's go get it ourselves. Captain, you can keep it for yourself. Even if we can't kill the big guys, we can still kill the small ones. However, it's still necessary to show off with an Emperor Spirit Stone. Lin Yun took out an Emperor Spirit Stone. Everyone else took a King Spirit Stone, just like Lin Yun. You guys are so polite. If you guys are so polite, I won't have to worry about being generous in the future. Night Sorrow smiled as he put the King Spirit Stones away. Alliance Master, when can we fight? Pu Luo's fighting spirit was high. Wait for me to use guerrilla warfare to exhaust their strength. Then I'll take you guys to battle. Night Sorrow said. This was also his plan. Right now, he didn't dare to take people to battle. The thousands of people from the other side could drown his team. VQ Yong. El Jojojo, look at our asterisk little, unspecified currency says square root. Puluo nodded. After listening to Night Sorrow's explanation, he understood that he couldn't fight. He was different from Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had the ability to fight and retreat when he wanted to when facing the tribulation of 5 emperors. However, he couldn't. He could fight the tribulation of 5 emperors head-on, but he didn't dare to say that he could win. Once he was surrounded, the consequences would be dire. He wouldn't have the chance to retreat. After arranging the team, Night Sorrow set off. He had fully recovered from the time acceleration in the Clear Sky Pagoda. He could fight again. Sensing the soul imprint, Night Sorrow found that the meteor core had only moved slightly. They were stationed not far from the original battlefield. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow gave up the idea of a sneak attack. If he sneaked an attack on Lu Xing, he wouldn't be able to kill him if other tribulation of 3 emperors cultivators interfered. If he targeted the core commander of the tribulation of 3 emperors, he could succeed, but he would lose the opportunity to sneak an attack on Lu Xing in the future. Lu Xing was a tribulation of 5 emperors cultivator. He would only suffer some losses once. Night Sorrow wanted to leave the opportunity to sneak an attack on Lu Xing. Night Sorrow rushed over and started the second round of killing. After entering the battle, Night Sorrow smiled in his heart. He had discovered the array. Many array areas had appeared in the Meteor Core's encampment. Although he didn't know much about the array formations of the cultivators in the Tribulation world, as an array expert, Night Sorrow could see the array areas at a glance. Night Sorrow pretended not to know. Every time he moved, he was not far away from the array area. Lu Xing and several core commanders with tribulation of 3 emperors cultivators gritted their teeth in hatred. As long as Night Sorrow entered the array area that had reinforced the space barrier, his speed would be limited. Then they could surround him and kill him. Contrary to their wishes, Night Sorrow did not enter the array area while Lu Xing and the others were anxiously looking forward to it. He passed by them twice. The battle was very fierce. Night Sorrow took their lives with his spear. After killing for an hour, Night Sorrow retreated again. Of course, the one with the soul imprint was still alive. When Night Sorrow came, he entered the array area. After Night Sorrow left, Lu Xing's face turned black with anger. This bastard is lucky. He almost entered the array area several times. A core commander cursed. A legion commander cursed. Their subordinates were slaughtered wantonly by Night Sorrow. The legion commanders of the other tribulation realms were all furious. Continue to increase the array area. This bastard has tasted the sweetness and will come again, Lu Xing ordered. Chapter 2143. After counting the losses of the Legion, Lu Xing waved his hand and shattered the tent. Night Sorrow had come twice, and in the 2 battles, his army had lost more than 500 people, all of whom were the core of the army. The ones killed by Night Sorrow were the commanders and captains under him, and a few other army commanders. They were the core of the army. Lu Xing wasn't the only one who was annoyed. Several Legion commanders under him were also very angry. If this continued, the backbone of the Legion would be wiped out. Give the order to increase the formation area. Everyone should not be too far away from the formation area. When he comes, retreat into the formation area. As long as he enters the formation area, he will be dead. Lu Xing's face was gloomy. He now hoped that the formation would be effective. Otherwise, there was nothing he could do. His speed and flexibility were not as good as Night Sorrow's. The strength of his long-range attacks and energy attacks could not hurt Night Sorrow, who had the protection of his secret technique. After recovering, Night Sorrow was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, he outlined the formation area of the Calamity World's Legion based on his memory. He would have to face that formation sooner or later because the cultivators of the Calamity World would run inside after being attacked. After sketching it, Night Sorrow found that the greatest effect of the formation was to strengthen the spatial barrier. The second effect was to seal and slow down. I will understand it more carefully in the next battle, and see how strong the seal of this formation is. Night Sorrow stood up and tightened the blood-curing evil-slaying spear on his back. Then he rushed toward the Meteor Legion's encampment. When Night Sorrow appeared, some of the cultivators of the Calamity World immediately retreated into the formation area. However, in order to maintain the concealment of the formation area, they retreated relatively slowly. Night Sorrow still had targets to kill. As Lu Xing chased after him, Night Sorrow sent a spatial rift toward the formation area. As the spatial rift energy flew and cut, a black line appeared. A high-level Emperor Tribulation cultivator was cut open. After killing the target, the spatial rift energy attacked the formation area. The spatial rift speed was reduced, but it still cut into the formation area. After advancing for a while, it dissipated. The sealing effect was not bad, but Night Sorrow felt that it was not enough to suppress him. He could still use Void Steps and Space-Time Realm to open a path. Night Sorrow used the Spatial Ren to test the strength of the array formation. This caused Lu Xing and the others' expressions to change. The array formation didn't restrict Night Sorrow's attack. They didn't think that Night Sorrow would have such a consummate skill. Night Sorrow smiled as he killed all the cultivators in the world of tribulations, until they ran into the formation area. Lu Xing and the others had the urge to curse in their hearts. Array formation trap? Trap my ass. It was obvious that the array formation had been exposed. This time, they had only killed 100 or so cultivators from the tribulation realm. However, Night Sorrow decided to retreat. He wasn't in his peak state and didn't want to risk going into the formation. It would be more reliable if he left to recover and take risks in his peak state. Night Sorrow left amidst Meteor's curses. Someone go and inform Protector Lu Yin to come over. Lu Xing knew that the situation was not good. He had to find help. Lu Yin was his junior brother, and his cultivation was a little lower. Night Sorrow did not consume much energy this time, so he quickly recovered. This time, Night Sorrow wanted to test the strength of the opponent's array formation. Then he would come up with a strategy. In the previous battles, Night Sorrow did not use his full strength, nor did he use the power of virtue. In the previous battles, Night Sorrow used the power of virtue mostly to protect himself, not to kill. If possible, Night Sorrow did not want to use the power of virtue to enhance his combat strength to kill. Of course, Night Sorrow's power of virtue came from the celestial realm. There was nothing wrong with solving the tribulation for the celestial realm. Of course, this idea was Night Sorrow's personal subjective consciousness. After arriving this time, Night Sorrow used the Space Ren to slash at the array formation. Then he used the Void Step and the Space-Time Realm to enter the array formation and kill. Night Sorrow's Space Ren had 2 forms. One was the original version of the Space Ren, and the other was the Space Ren with the Reincarnation attribute. The Forbidden Reincarnation energy was released in the form of the Space Ren. Its power was much stronger than the original version of the Space Rend. However, Night Sorrow did not use it much. The main reason was that after researching it, he had not encountered many real battles. The Space Rend opened up a path. Night Sorrow used the Soul Destruction Slash, the Reincarnation True Dragon Art, and the Primordial Extreme Kill alternately. This time, he was truly going all out to kill. Once you enter the array formation, you will die. Surround him in a straight line. Lu Xing gritted his teeth and shouted at the commanders of the three emperors' tribulation army behind him. Night Sorrow ignored him and continued to move forward to kill. Because he still needed to fight while moving forward, it was more time-consuming. Night Sorrow's left, center, and right directions were blocked by the three emperors' tribulation cultivators under Lu Xing's command. Break! Night Sorrow roared. 8 Space Rends appeared in front of him, behind him, to his left and to his right. They were Space Rends supported by the Reincarnation attribute. After using the Space Rend with all his strength, Night Sorrow used the afterimage body. A few afterimages flew along the path of the Space Rend. When Lu Xing and the others were dazzled and could not see clearly, Night Sorrow's true body used the Void Steps and the Space-Time Realm together. Following the Space Rend, he rushed out of the encirclement and continued to kill. PCC Zhang Edition Z Chapter 8 Supra. P2-inch Bastard. After the encirclement failed, Lu Xing opened his mouth and cursed. This is war. If you speak ill of me, it only means that you don't have the strength and ability. Yi Sara replied after killing 2 opponents. Lu Xing did not say anything. The truth was right in front of him. He could not refute Night Sorrow's words. After killing 2 people in the array formation, Night Sorrow left again. Night Sorrow did not want to play anymore because it consumed too much energy. This was because he had to bear some risks. After Night Sorrow left, Lu Xing felt powerless. He had no way to deal with Night Sorrow's speed and movement techniques. After thinking for a while, Lu Xing ordered his men to retreat. Then, he asked the army's upper echelons to watch from the outside. If Night Sorrow came, it would be fine as long as they could hold him back. This situation made Night Sorrow, who was attacking again, more active. Under the situation where their soul power enveloped each other, Night Sorrow and Lu Xing looked at each other for a while, and then retreated. Lu Xing was relieved that Night Sorrow did not come. He realized that he was actually afraid. He was afraid that Night Sorrow would come again. Night Sorrow's retreat made Lu Xing feel that this defense was effective. When his junior brother Lu Yun came, this passive and powerless situation could be resolved. After leaving the area where Lu Xing's soul power could reach, Night Sorrow brandished his bloodbath evil vanquishing spear. After cutting through the spatial barrier, he entered the spatial turbulence. Night Sorrow retreated. It was not that he did not want to fight, but he felt that Lu Xing and the other Legion commanders had separated. It was time for him to use his ultimate move. After dealing with Lu Xing, he could fight openly. He did not need to hide from anyone. In the spatial turbulence, Night Sorrow used his Dao domain to suppress the spatial fluctuations to the minimum. Then he moved towards Lu Xing's army. He wanted to kill them. Chapter 2144. Night Sorrow circulated his leakless true body to the extreme. He didn't even breathe as he slowly approached the area where Lu Xing was. He was catching a big fish this time. If he could kill Lu Xing, he would be able to take down the entire Legion. As he approached, Night Sorrow felt a little nervous. This was the first time Night Sorrow had ambushed a great expert like the tribulation of 5 emperors. He had never thought of it before. Lu Xing thought about where the uneasiness came from. He stood up and looked at the Legion's campsite. When he didn't find anything amiss, he sat down again. He was now looking forward to Night Sorrow's arrival. That way, the 2 tribulation of 5 emperors' cultivators could block Night Sorrow and kill him. In addition, Lu Xing was certain that Night Sorrow was definitely an important figure in the celestial realm. It was already very impressive that he had reached the tribulation of 3 emperors at such a young age. His combat strength was also ridiculously strong. He had never seen these 2 attributes before, but he understood that they were much more high-end than the attributes he knew. While Lu Xing was thinking, Night Sorrow was getting closer and closer to Lu Xing's location. Knight Sorrow held the blood-chilling evil vanquishing spear as he thought about his moves and routines. He wanted to end this battle as quickly as possible. If he gave Lu Xing a chance to resist and let him last until the other Legion commanders arrived, he wouldn't have a chance and would be in danger. After deciding on the order in which he would use his absolute art, Knight Sorrow was very close to the meteor. Knight Sorrow poured the Samsara energy into the blood-chilling evil vanquishing spear and used the Samsara True Dragon art. At the same time, he waved his left hand and cut open space. There was no gap between the two moves. After arriving in the real world, Knight Sorrow's Samsara True Dragon art instantly attacked Lu Xing. The attack appeared very suddenly. Under Lu Xing's surprised gaze, Knight Sorrow's Merit Samsara Dao domain pressed down. Knight Sorrow wasn't willing to use the power of merit to augment his combat strength to bully the weak and kill, but he didn't have such concerns when fighting someone of a higher level. Lu Xing hurriedly cast his Dao domain defense, but it was instantly suppressed by Knight Sorrow's Merit Dao domain. At that moment, Knight Sorrow's True Dragon Destruction art arrived in front of him. "How dare you, scoundrel!" Lu Xing was infuriated. He had actually become the target of a tribulation of 3 sovereigns cultivator. This was a humiliation to him, but what he needed to resolve now was a crisis. Knight Sorrow's Dao domain was extremely powerful. It completely enveloped him, rendering his Dao domain ineffective. In addition, Knight Sorrow's blood-chilling evil slaying spear contained an illusory energy that made him feel extremely threatened. At the same time that Meteor brandished his saber, Knight Sorrow also released his soul-extinguishing slash. At this time, he was going all out. FW, as the two weapons approached, Knight Sorrow's body moved a small step. The blood-chilling execution evil spear avoided Meteor's saber and continued to stab forward. Knight Sorrow wouldn't give Meteor a chance to clash head-on. That would result in a stalemate, which would cause him to lose time and opportunities. The corner of Meteor's eyes twitched. The current situation wasn't good for him. Knight Sorrow's weapon was a little off, but the attack would definitely severely injure him. If his saber slashed Knight Sorrow, it would at most injure Knight Sorrow. After analyzing the situation, Meteor sheathed his saber and slashed at Knight Sorrow's blood-chilling execution evil spear. However, at that moment, Knight Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash arrived. The purple crescent blade, which was half a person's height, slashed at Meteor's body. Block! Meteor's body trembled. His soul power protected his body as he blocked Knight Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash attack. As a 5 Emperor Tribulation cultivator, Meteor naturally knew what kind of attack Knight Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash was. Knight Sorrow's soul-extinguishing slash was blocked by Meteor's soul power. However, the negative illusions rushed into Meteor's spirit sea, causing his saber to slow down by half a beat. The saber that blocked Knight Sorrow's blood-chilling execution evil spear didn't have much strength. Knight Sorrow's blood-chilling execution evil spear directly shook it away. Then, the blood-chilling execution evil spear pierced Meteor's chest. Knight Sorrow's forbidden reincarnation energy rushed into Meteor's body through the blood-chilling execution evil spear. It started to shake and destroy. Meteor, who had been attacked, woke up. He reached out his left hand and grabbed Knight Sorrow's blood-chilling execution evil spear. He was about to pull it out of his body. Knight Sorrow wouldn't give him the chance. He reached out his empty left hand and grabbed Meteor's left wrist. Then he pulled hard, pulling the two bodies closer. The blood-chilling execution evil spear directly pierced Meteor's body. Then it kept shaking and destroying Meteor's body. "Help!" Meteor cried for help. At this time, his Legion commanders also noticed the situation and flew over. "Help! Go die!" Knight Sorrow roared. The virtuous immortal body's energy moved to his left hand, and he twisted it. With a cracking sound, Meteor's wrist was broken by Knight Sorrow. He didn't specialize in cultivating his body. The difference between his strength and Knight Sorrow's was too big. After breaking Meteor's left wrist, Knight Sorrow's left hand reached out again and grabbed the saber that Meteor was slashing at his neck. Then he used void steps. The blood-chilling execution evil spear pierced through Meteor and began to fly. He had to run now. He had to avoid Meteor's reinforcements while continuing to destroy Meteor's body. Night Sorrow's speed was about the same as the Legion commanders under Meteor's command. He still had a chance to continue destroying Meteor's body. While escaping, Yishang had chosen a route that led to the God-slaying team's encampment. Now that Lu Xing had been dealt with, Yishang was no longer afraid of the tribulation of 3 emperors' cultivators under Lu Xing's command. Yishang and his men could deal with them. At this time, Meteor was waving his left arm at Night Sorrow's body and kicking his legs. Night Sorrow didn't care about this. Meteor's left arm didn't have a weapon. When it hit his body protected by the virtuous immortal body, it didn't cause any damage. It was completely negligible. As for Meteor's threatening right hand that was holding the saber, it was completely controlled by him. Let go of our Legion commander, and we'll spare your life. Otherwise, we'll cut you into pieces. Meteor's Legion commanders roared. They never thought that Meteor would be defeated by Night Sorrow. They also saw that Meteor was constantly being injured, and his aura was getting weaker and weaker. Let go of him. I spent so much effort to get rid of him. How can I let go? Continue chasing. I'll deal with you in a while. Night Sorrow shouted without turning his head. He pulled the Bloodbath Qilin evil-slaying spear out of Meteor's body, and then stabbed it in again. He constantly used vibration force and wave force to destroy Meteor's body. I'll definitely kill you. Meteor and Night Sorrow were very close. His eyes were almost spitting fire. At the same time, the energy in his body began to gather. You forgot that your soul can leave your body. I won't give you the chance, virtuous fire. Night Sorrow's virtuous reincarnation, Dao Domain, began to burn with the virtuous fire. If Meteor's soul left his body, his virtuous fire could envelop it and destroy it. Meteor's expression changed. Night Sorrow had cut off his escape route. Under such circumstances, if his soul left his body, it would be destroyed by Night Sorrow's Dao Domain. It would be very difficult for him to escape. You're shameless and despicable. Meteor cursed. Chapter 2145. After getting rid of Lu Xing's Legion commander, Night Sorrow continued to deal with Lu Xing. The virtuous fire also enveloped Lu Xing, preventing his soul from leaving his body. Lu Xing kept cursing, but he couldn't fight back. As Night Sorrow tortured him, his body was damaged beyond recognition. His tendons and bones were all broken. In the chase, Night Sorrow's god-slaying team was getting closer and closer to their base. You guys keep chasing. You won't be able to escape later. Night Sorrow's Blood Qilin evil punishment spear stabbed Lu Xing's body a few more times. At the same time, his soul power vibrated, and the soul crystal that Lin Piaomiao had given him a long time ago was taken out of his storage ring and shattered. Night Sorrow wanted to keep Lu Xing's Legion commanders here, but he didn't want to bring the battle to the god-slaying team's base. Normal Monarch Realm cultivators were too weak in front of the tribulation of the 3 emperors. Once they were attacked, they would be killed. Night Sorrow didn't want his men to get hurt. When the soul crystal shattered, Lin Piaomiao, who had just returned to her tent to drink tea, stood up. My soul crystal shattered. It's not too far away. Night Sorrow broke it. There's a problem. Let's go help. Lin Piaomiao came out of the tent. Pu Luo, Yu Zhu, Lin Chuan, Long Jin and Tianyu followed. Lin Yan wanted to follow, but Long Jin asked her to stay and watch the base. When Lin Piaomiao and Pu Luo met Night Sorrow and Lu Xing's subordinates were cursing at each other. Night Sorrow cursed as he stabbed Lu Xing with his Blood Qilin evil punishment spear. Lu Xing didn't have much life left. No matter how high his cultivation was, he couldn't withstand Night Sorrow's Blood Qilin evil punishment spear. You came at the right time. Hold them down for a while. Don't let any of them escape. I'll kill this one first. Night Sorrow's body flashed behind Pu Luo and the others. Then he lifted his right knee and sent Lu Xing's body flying. Then he struck out with his spear and shattered Lu Xing's head. Afterward, the fire of virtue wrapped around Lu Xing's soul and burned it. The early, middle, and late stages of the Emperor Tribulation had different soul levels. Lu Xing's soul level was high, so he couldn't kill him easily. That was why Night Sorrow had been running all the time. He didn't have time to deal with Lu Xing. Now that someone was covering for him, Night Sorrow had time. The Merit Dao Domain suppressed Lu Xing's soul form, preventing it from escaping. Night Sorrow's fire of merit burned Lu Xing's soul form. At the same time, the bloodbath evil-slaying spear constantly stabbed into Lu Xing's soul form. The energy continued to vibrate, causing Lu Xing's soul form to become unstable. Night Sorrow struck 5 times with all his strength. Coupled with the fire of soul, Night Sorrow finally killed Lu Xing. Lu Xing was completely killed. After his soul power swept through the spoils of war, Night Sorrow rushed toward Lin Chuan, Long Jin, and Tianyu. The 3 of them were fighting against a cultivator of the 3 Emperor Tribulation. They were at an absolute disadvantage. They were pushed back time and time again. The difference in cultivation was too big. If the 3 of them didn't have a tacit understanding, they would have died easily. Lin Chuan and Tianyu went to help Yuzhu. Night Sorrow asked Long Jin to bring the rest of the team over. Night Sorrow started to kill the cultivator of the 3 Emperor Tribulation in front of him. Night Sorrow was terrifying when he went all out. In half a cup of tea's time, Night Sorrow killed his opponent. Then Night Sorrow took care of Yuzhu. Yuzhu was a cultivator of the tribulation of the 2 Emperor Tribulation, so she was under a lot of pressure. Even with Lin Chuan and Tianyu's help, it wasn't enough. After Night Sorrow took care of her, Yuzhu went to help Lin Piaomiao, who had the upper hand but couldn't suppress her. On the other battlefield, Pu Luo's fists were extremely domineering. He had already suppressed his opponent. Victory was only a matter of time. 8 Emperor Tribulation. First strike. Night Sorrow killed Lu Xing. Although it was a sneak attack, his strength was obvious. After fighting for a while, the soul destruction slash was effective and killed his opponent. Night Sorrow didn't help the remaining 2 teams, because they could win either way. Night Sorrow nodded to Lin Chuan and Tianyu. He took out the Clear Sky Pagoda and entered it. He wanted to recover in the shortest time possible. After the rest of the team came over to prepare, he would start killing the meteor core. What are the cultivators we killed? Tianyu looked at Lin Chuan. He couldn't tell the cultivation of his opponent. Lin Chuan's cultivation was higher than his. I can't tell either. They must be cultivators of the tribulation of the Emperor Tribulation, Lin Chuan said. The battle was still going on. However, the 2 commanders of the Meteor Corps were getting weaker and weaker. Pu Luo's cultivation was 1 level higher than his opponent's. When Lin Piaomiao was an emperor, she was known to be invincible in head-on battles. She was good at fighting head-on battles. She already had the upper hand. After Yuzhu joined in, the battle became a foregone conclusion. Long Jin arrived with the Heaven Wasteland Army, the First Army, and the God-slaying team. When Night Sorrow appeared, the battle was already over. Pu Luo, Lin Piaomiao, and Yuzhu were all meditating to recover. They didn't use much energy, unlike Night Sorrow who fought a great battle. Chief Commander. Alliance Leader. Many people bowed when they saw Night Sorrow. You all came just in time. The battle is coming. We need a plan to destroy the entire core of tribulation, Night Sorrow said. Alliance Leader, according to what you said, they have thousands of people. It'll be difficult for us to do that. Pu Luo was stunned after hearing Night Sorrow's words. Their commander and several core commanders all died here. Their specialty is that they don't have doppelgangers, so the news didn't leak out. They won't move for a short period of time. Now, we need to set up the formation. What we need to do next is to hunt the wolves and herd the sheep into the formation to kill them. Night Sorrow explained the plan. This was the plan he came up with while meditating. Pu Luo and the others were shocked when they heard Night Sorrow say that the commander of the core of tribulation had died. This was because he was a cultivator of the tribulation of 5 emperors. After speaking, Night Sorrow suddenly stopped moving. His body was full of golden light. It was the golden light of merit that couldn't be controlled. At this time, the body of Night Sorrow at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower shone with golden light. Golden light also appeared in the sky and gathered on Night Sorrow's body. The golden light illuminated the Heaven Wasteland Tower and radiated in all directions. Night Sorrow stood at the top of the Heaven Wasteland Tower and bathed in the golden light of merit. He knew that after killing Lu Xing and the 2 core commanders of the Tribulation world, the Heavenly Tao had decided that he had created more merit for the Celestial Realm. If Lu Xing and the two corps commanders had led their armies into the celestial realm, the people would have been in a terrible situation. Now this problem was solved. With the advancement of his merit cultivation, Knight Sorrow's cultivation had broken through the limit of a level 5 Imperial Lord and reached level 6. However, he had only just reached level 6. This was the foundation he had accumulated. He had benefited the celestial realm and preached. Together with the merit this time, Knight Sorrow's merit had advanced. In the past he had killed Mo Tianji and the Holy Lord of the Demon Wing clan. This was a supreme merit for the natives of the celestial realm. Chapter 2146. After Knight Sorrow absorbed the golden light of virtue into his body, he sat down and continued to cultivate. Looking at the situation, Lu Qi waved his hand and dismissed everyone. In the world of calamity, Knight Sorrow opened his eyes. Puluo, we don't have enough manpower, and the Heaven Wasteland army can't be mobilized in large numbers. At this time, we can only use our own strength to get the Humanitarian League team over. Call the Great Demon King, Ruiz and Funtian over. The Calamity Army is a big matter. Killing them is a great merit to the Celestial Realm. Okay, I'll go back and mobilize the troops now. Puluo nodded and left the stronghold through the teleportation formation set up by the Formation Masters of the Heaven Wasteland Army. Knight Sorrow asked the Formation Masters to gather and commanded everyone to set up the formation according to his own ideas. It was the unparalleled formation. He wanted to completely eliminate the Meteor Army here. 5N hashtag. The unparalleled formation was very deep. It was a compound formation. Ordinary formation masters couldn't understand and control it. Knight Sorrow split it up and let the formation masters set it up. He then combined and connected it. While setting up the formation, Knight Sorrow also felt the situation after the promotion of his power of virtue. The improvement of his original body was the same as the improvement of his doppelganger. Lin Piaomiao and Yuzhu followed beside Knight Sorrow and asked Knight Sorrow about the Calamity Army. After hearing the process of Knight Sorrow killing Meteor, they were really worried for Knight Sorrow because it was really risky for Knight Sorrow to launch a sneak attack in their territory under the eyes of their subordinates. Knight Sorrow, this is a little too risky. Lin Piaomiao was a little scared. This was Knight Sorrow's success. If there was a mistake, then the result would be completely different. I'm a little worried and anxious. We don't know how many legions there are in the Calamity world. We have to speed up the pace. Meteor is only a commander in the Calamity world. No one can be sure how many commanders there are. Let's kill one first. Knight Sorrow said while setting up the formation. Knight Sorrow's speed in setting up the array formation was very fast. He was almost using all his strength to set up the array formation. He was in a hurry and did not want to waste too much time. An hour later, Puluo arrived with his men. Alliance Master, the battle at the entrance is quite fierce. The Ice Phoenix clan and the Azure Dragons are working together to hold them back. Other forces are also rushing over, Puluo said. Can you handle it? Knight Sorrow asked. I can withstand it. Puluo nodded. Knight Sorrow said to Puluo, that's good. It will take some time to set up the formation. Tell your brothers that there will be no time to rest and recover after the battle starts. Everyone should use their energy wisely. Don't be stingy with resources. We have to follow the army of the world of calamity and fight to the end. Puluo nodded and went to make the arrangements. The preparation and deployment before the battle were very important. Knight Sorrow did not have the time now. As the law-enforcing elder of the 100 Races Elder Assembly, he had to help Knight Sorrow deal with these matters. The Heaven Wasteland Army would also accept his orders. After half a day, Knight Sorrow had almost finished setting up the array formation. After arranging for an Emperor-level array formation master in the Heaven Wasteland Army to deal with some flaws in the terrain around the array formation, Knight Sorrow gathered everyone together. Now, let's talk about the team allocation. Puluo and Lin Miao, your teams will remain unchanged. Senior brother Funtian will join Lin Miao's team. Ruizi, you will be in Puluo's team. Great Demon King, you and Yuzhu will lead the Humanitarian League's team and the First Army. I will lead the god-slaying team and surround them. We will chase them to this area and exhaust their strength on the way. Finally, we will finish them off here. Night Sorrow explained the arrangement. After Night Sorrow made the arrangements, Pu Luo and Lin Miao looked at Night Sorrow. Isn't your team a little too weak? It is, but it's not a big problem. I killed my way in and out of their campsite a few times. They should be afraid of me and won't attack my team, Night Sorrow said. How about this? My original body is not in a cultivation state. I will be in your team on the way, the Great Demon King said. That's fine. Let's set off then. We will go around their campsite and attack, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. After the allocation of teams and personnel was done, Night Sorrow led his team and set off. Because of the soul imprint, Night Sorrow could roughly sense the location. He realized that the army under Lu Xing's command had not moved. Night Sorrow led his team to avoid Lu Xing's scouting area, and arrived at the opposite side of Lu Xing's campsite. The Lu Xing's original body was between his team and the formation area. At this time, the Great Demon King's original body also arrived. He had the cultivation of tribulation of the three emperors, so his speed was much faster than the team's movement. The battle is about to start. I have a few old words to say. We have to go back alive. This is not only a responsibility for ourselves, but also for our families. I've said this before. After so many years, we have to look back and see that our brothers are still around. Everyone has cultivated the combined attack formation. When you can exchange your injuries for the lives of your brothers, you have to take a hit for them. If you have the determination to take a hit for others, others will also have the same awareness. If there are brothers who can take a hit for us, our hearts will be filled with warmth and a sense of accomplishment. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he knocked on his left chest and bowed slightly. In fact, this was also a kind of sincere request. In response to Night Sorrow, everyone knocked on their left chest and bowed in response. Thank you. Night Sorrow stood up straight and said these two words in a low voice. He was grateful that these soldiers in front of him could understand what he meant. Captain, we should be the ones thanking you for being able to fight by your side, Ho Jian said with some emotion. Let's not talk about this anymore. Brothers, after we go back, I, Night Sorrow, will hold a banquet for everyone. You just have to bring the people who are drinking back. Now the other three teams have entered the encirclement area. Remember, if the situation is critical, help each other. The battle will start in 15 minutes. Night Sorrow raised the blood-chilling evil-slaying spear in his right hand and waved it. At this time, in Lu Xing's campsite, a middle-aged man was sitting in the main tent. He was Lu Xing's junior brother Lu Yun. He was also a cultivator of tribulation of the five emperors. After listening to a commander of Lu Xing's report, Lu Yun raised his eyebrows. He felt that something was wrong. Lu Xing's tribulation of the five emperors had been attacked by a tribulation of the three emperors. The other commanders should not have a problem providing support. However, according to the time, they should have returned by now. Sir, what should we do now? The commander asked. There was no commander of Lu Xing's Meteor Legion now. This commander was the first commander, and was currently in charge of the Meteor Legion's affairs. The situation is not very good. Wait a little longer. If there is still no news, you take your men and join the Fire Dance Corps. I will go and find them. Lu Yun thought for a moment, and felt that this place was not very safe. He was worried that the people of the Celestial Realm would come and kill them. At present, the Meteor Legion's morale was too low. They had to rest to recover their combat strength. The commander who reported the situation bowed and accepted the order. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.